Jackson's got it, running to his right, wants to throw, now being pressured, ball's loose on the ground. It is recovered by Jackson, but it does not matter. That's Lions football. A fourth down stop by this team. Jackson tried to roll out, had a run pass option, and Jack Campbell was there to knock that ball loose. That is a big time stop by that defense. Lions show 4 across the front. There's the snap. Jackson back, looking right. Pressure comes. Jackson still looking. Stepping up. Gonna get hit. Gonna go down. Al-Quadin Mohammed got him. Goff out of the gun. Montgomery to his right. Jared's got it back and looking, throwing right side. Wants Amon-Ra. End zone. Got it. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. What a delivery that time by Goff, where only Amon-Ra with those late hands could pull it in. And the Lions are an extra point away from drawing even once again here in Baltimore. Jackson fakes the give to Henry, wants to throw, steps up, gonna get hit, gonna get spun down again. That's another sack by that Lions defense. That is Al-Quadin Mohammed for the second time tonight. 96, that is big, man. Goff up under center, turns, gives, Amon-Ra flips it out to Gibbs. He's in the house, baby. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Oh, that is beautiful. Goff hands it to Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra flips it to Gibbs, and the Lions have got the lead back. From the Lion 19, Jackson out of the gun. He's got it, wants to throw. Jackson looking, stepping up. Now he's going to get hit, going to go down. Sack back outside the 20-yard line. That football came out, but they're going to say he was down. That is another big play by that Lions defense. Trevor Nowaski with the sack. There's the snap, Jackson back, Jackson looking, Jackson stepping up, rolling to his right, being chased, still looking, now he's gonna get hit, going down! Taken down again by that Lions defense. Derek Barnes, I see you, 55. That's a big time play. The Lions stripped it away from Derrick Henry. What a big turn of events, and the Lions have got it now. Goff up under center. Montgomery the single back. Goff fakes to him, wants to throw, does downfield, wants Amon-Ra. Got him, made the catch inside the 40. It's a first down, but there's a flag down as well. It's a hold against Baltimore. That is huge. Single back is Gibbs. Goff turn, gives it to Jameer, to the end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions. That's the way you make a statement on the road on Monday night to start a football game, straight down the field to the end zone. It is 2nd and goal from the 1. Goff out of the gun, hands it to Montgomery, tries the left side, did not get in. It's going to be 3rd and goal from inside the 1. There, they say he did get in. Late call. There it is. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Better late than never. Out of the gun. Jackson's got it. Running to his right. Wants to throw. Now being pressured. Ball's loose on the ground. It is recovered by Jackson, but it does not matter. That's Lions football. A 4th down stop by this team. Jackson tried to roll out, had a run pass option, and Jack Campbell was there to knock that ball loose. That is a big time stop by that defense.
Game time, Detroit, and you found the right place for the latest Detroit Lions news. So hop on in and take the ride to Super Bowl 60 with Rockhound Detroit Lions. Join Will Rock, Eric Rintamaki, and Riley O'Brien today on the Rise and Grind Morning Show. Good morning. All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome into the Rise and Grind Morning Show. Hope you're all having a wonderful Friday morning. A little bit foggy out there. Make sure that you guys are careful if you're driving this morning. And, man, you guys ready for the Browns? I'm ready for the Browns. Are you ready for the Browns? I'm ready for the Browns. No, I said, are you guys ready for the Browns? I'm absolutely ready for the Browns. I hope you are too. It's gonna be an interesting weekend, man. It's 2 really tough defenses. One that's playing at the highest elite level in the league right now, which are the Cleveland Browns. But kind of like the 40-year-old, virgin. It's the 40-year-old quarterback, man. I think the Lions, they're able to pin back this weekend and kind of get after them. We'll see what everyone thinks. Bring Eric here in just one moment. And keys to the game will be out tomorrow. Pre-game will be out probably Sunday morning. Those are going to be recorded this week since, I had some technical difficulties with my body yesterday and couldn't move. So I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball, but we're going to get the rest of that content out for you guys as quickly as possible, get everything updated. I was pretty much down all day. So let's get rolling. Let's bring Eric in here and let's get this show kicked off. Good morning, everyone.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
All right, food of the day, Eric. What is it going to be? Is it going to be brownies and ice cream? Is it, like brownie a la mode? Is it just a straight up brownie? What's the food of the day today?
Well, for me, it's steaks.
Oh, there, that works too.
See,
okay, so what's for dessert then?
well, last night it was banana cream pie. Yeah. See, last night was.
You're not picking up what I'm putting down here, but it's all right, man.
Well, I got to tell you about something that happened in a special announcement I have today for all of our Lions fans. So today is my 19th wedding anniversary with my wife Angela, and last night we decided to go out and try to recreate something we did a few years ago on our anniversary. And we went to the casino a few years back and we won $8,000, right? So we went again last night. We went to the same machine. We played it just like we did last time. And we hit for $850. And then we went to another machine and hit for like $400 or $500. So we ended up leaving up over $1,200 last night. So congratulations to my wife. She won $1,235 last night. All right, now into my second announcement. This one's for all the Lions fans out there. It's an anniversary. It has been 3 years and 1 day since the Minnesota Vikings have beaten your Detroit Lions 28-24 on September 25th, 2022 at their stadium in Minnesota. I was there. I remember that day very, very well. Tim Boyle actually threw me a pass that day and I caught it. So it's pretty cool.
It's about the only pass anybody caught that day.
So that's 5 in a row. We've beat the Vikings. So let's make it 7 in a row this year. Never forget, that's the last time the Vikings beat the Lions 3 years ago yesterday.
Well, you know what else is interesting? So I was looking at, and congratulations on the anniversary, by the way.
Thank you.
To you and to Angela. The interesting fact that I found. So fact of the day Friday. I should just add that. Fact of the day Friday. What was the score in the Packers game? Do you remember? Packers-Browns.
13-10.
13-10.
And I guarantee the Detroit Lions will score more than 10 points on Sunday.
What if I told you the last time the Lions played the Browns, the score was 13-10?
And the Browns won.
Isn't that really odd?
Yes.
That game just happened last week for the Packers and the Browns. But 4 years ago, on November 21st, 2021, the Lions at the Browns this time, lost 13-10.
Yep.
If I take a look at that box score, which I don't even know if I really want to, if I take a look at that box score, so that was the last time that Jared Goff, obviously that was his first time in the Lions uniform taking on the Browns. This is the second time. Looking at this box score for Jared Goff, let's see, Detroit had 12 first downs to Cleveland's 22. We had 245 total yards to their 349. We had a net yards rushing, though, of 168 to their 184. We ran 23 rushing plays with an average of 7.3 per carry, which pretty damn good, right?
Just didn't run it much.
Passing, however, we didn't even throw for 100 yards in this game.
Whoa.
77 yards, 23 attempts, 15 completions, which that's not bad, but 2 picks for Jared Goff in this game. He was sacked 0 times, so his gross yards passing was 77. Tim Boyle was the quarterback. So I'm sorry, it wasn't Jared Goff. It was Tim Boyle was the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the last time. I think it was the last year that Baker Mayfield was the quarterback for the Browns. And how badly are they kicking themselves without Baker Mayfield right now, as good as he is playing? I'm glad it's not Baker. I'm glad it's the 40-year-old or however old Flacco is. I think this gives
a couple teams.
I think this gives
a couple teams that are kicking them. There's a couple teams that are kicking themselves in the butt for getting rid of quarterbacks when they really shouldn't have. The Minnesota Vikings should not have gotten rid of Sam Darnold. He was lighting it up for a while last night. And then you have Baker Mayfield and the Browns, for the Bucks. He's 3-0 and he's led a game-winning drive in 3 games in a row. How they ever let him go is beyond me.
DeAndre Swift was our running back. 14 attempts, 136 yards in that game, 9.71 average, 57 touchdown. 57 yards for a touchdown was his long on the night. But Nick Chubb ate us up in the run game. 22 attempts, 130 yards. No TDs though. So that's going to have to be a different game. Obviously against Cleveland. The biggest worry for the Detroit Lions right now, the Detroit Lions fandom, is the Browns defense. And we'll talk a little bit about that today. We're going to hear from coaches today and coordinators. It'll be kind of coaches and coordinators Friday, which is probably going to turn into a regular segment, but more so today because I was down all day, all afternoon and into the late evening last night, couldn't move. And so I didn't do any work. I couldn't do any work. And it is what it is. I guess I just needed to take the day off. I still feel terrible today, but at least we're going to limp through this one and try to put some good stuff together. At least some reactionary, I guess, reaction to the interviews is what we're going to do today for the most part. Kind of a video day, which we do, man. We do movie day every once in a while, just when we have to. It is what it is. Remember Godwin Igwebuike?
Yes.
I really liked him back in the day. He had one run for 26 yards. I'm sorry, 3 runs for 58 yards in this game, 19.33 average. I don't know whatever happened to him, but man, it seemed like every time he carried the rock, he always did something with it. I don't know why he never amounted to much. It seemed like he had the ability. And for whatever reason, he was just always down in the depth chart. Maybe it was a ball security thing, or maybe he just didn't understand the playbook, which tends to happen, which by the way, that is one of my points today. How many times do you see a really good football player? And when I say really good, like somebody that we see in preseason or somebody that we see during camp or they get in for a game throughout the season and they just have a great day, or they're having a really great camp and they never really latch on. They never really have a big career or crack a roster. And I think that the biggest thing that goes back to is learning the playbook. These are very sophisticated playbooks. And if you don't have it mentally, it's pretty tough to latch on to a team. I think back in the 80s and the 90s, for me watching football back then, you had a lot of players that made big plays, but how many of them would be able to stick in today's NFL with the sophistication of these playbooks and the play calling? Because back then it was more, okay, you've got the talent. And I've interviewed a couple of really old, a lot older, they'd hate if I said that, Lions players. Did one last year. It was really good. And like he said, he's like, I didn't really deserve to play in the NFL. It was different back then. You go back and look at NFL football players' bodies 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And it's like, how did these guys play in the NFL? And a lot of them will tell you, it's like, I didn't have the skill, but for whatever reason, I was able to do it. I was the best thing they had. So it's interesting where today it's like everybody is built. Everyone has a body. Now it's all about the smarts. You have to be smart in the NFL. So big change. I think the evolution of the NFL is real. And what we're watching today is a far different game than what we watched even 10 years ago, but especially 20, 30 years ago. It's so much different. And I feel like some people's takes are still rooted in old school football. And this is a new game. At least I feel young enough to be blessed to have gone through both sides of it. The evolution of the NFL today and the tail end of what I think was some of the greatest football ever played, in the 80s and 90s. 2000s was okay. But, man, now we're into a totally new style of NFL, and the rule changes have made it totally different. But anyway, I'll get off that soapbox, I guess. What do you want to start with today? Do you have any quick hitters you want to get rolling with to start today?
Nothing fast. Everything I have is kind of long today.
All right. Well, real quick, do us a huge favor if you guys are just joining us for the first time, or you've been around multiple times and you just haven't subscribed. What are you waiting for? Like, I've been trying to give away a pair of tickets to a Lions game just to hit 10,000 subscribers this year. Like, the goal is like 15. Like, that's the goal, is 15,000 subscribers. And I give away tons of stuff all the time. We gave away, I don't know, what, $600 worth of stuff just the other day. And that was in like 4 or 5 pieces. So we give away great stuff. The money that comes into this channel goes back out. It also goes back in to support our local community. Every time I go to a game, I always support the Lions raffles. And that all goes to the Detroit Lions Foundation. I would encourage you to do it too. At least throw $20 in it. It goes to a good cause. So all of that stuff, the money that comes in, it goes right back out. And we do that for a couple of reasons. One, bridging the gap between the fans and the team has always been a part of this channel since day one. I know others like to say it, but we really do it. And secondly, we try to earn the respect of the Lions fans, because not everybody can do this, but it's really hard to earn the respect of having some of the takes that I have, which are not always welcomed, and then rooting, everything that we do with factual basis and trying to get through some of the toughest, subjects and segments without putting egg on my face. It's really tough. So we try to do this for a few different reasons, but number one, just want to give back, man. Just want to give back to the people that deserve it the most, which there's a lot of really good Lions fans. I mean, they're all deserving of a Super Bowl right now. We've been waiting for far too long. So you get a mini Super Bowl every time you subscribe to this channel, because you get an opportunity to get something. And a lot of people have won. But all right, let's get into Browns, man.
Sure.
We got David Montgomery's interview with Dan Miller today. John Morton, we're going to break him down. Shepard, we're going to break him down as well. Jamison Williams talks about blocking and why it's so important. And there's one video that I wanted to kind of go back to. This was, I don't know, a little over a week ago, maybe. It was Sam Laporta. And this is not my most favorite interview of him. There's another one that I'm having trouble finding. But this is a really good interview with Sam Laporta talking about why this team does what it does. And so I want to start with this, and then we'll roll into the NFC North report and some other things.
Okay.
Let me get this rolled in. Would you mind doing a welcome to the chat while I'm getting this rolled up?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. So we have a bunch of people in the chat today. Mike P. Brandy Coffee. Brandy, I saw your note that you got your package in the mail. Jay Cruzen, Todd Beaudry, Orner U of M Dad, Kevin Barr, Elaine Hill, Robbie Ones, Mike P. Trace, as always, Attila the Hun. Let's see who else is in here today. Gino. David Napier, Maureen. Got quite a good crew in here today. Ken Ross, Zachary Cleary, quite a few people. Bill Rowland, bunch of names haven't seen in a while. Some I see every day. So if you have not hit that like and subscribe button yet, please do so right now.
All right, let's do this, man. Sam Laporta talking about the selfless attitude of your Detroit Lions.
We were out physical. We definitely didn't play complimentary football. We had 2 3-and-outs to start the game on offense. So we touched the ball 6 times, and we looked up and we were down 21-0. So definitely not complimentary football at the end of the day.
What can you guys take from that? I mean, obviously it was 2 seasons ago, but obviously a lot of this team was still intact. A lot of their team was still intact.
Sure.
What do you take from that moving forward to not put you guys obviously in that position again?
Yeah, we have to start faster, and I don't want to say that we hit the panic button too early. We definitely were a little frantic, but we know that we're a great team. We were a good team back then as well, and a 21-point deficit isn't the end of the world. You saw the Bills come back with 15 points in 10 minutes the other day against them. Obviously, different year and everything, but it can be done against great teams, and we know that we can do that if we find ourselves in that position again, which we definitely won't.
Would you say that was a good teaching moment for y'all going forward and building the nucleus? You guys were rookies, you and Jameer at that time. Was that good, teaching moment for you guys?
I think there's teaching moments in everything, to be honest, in the wins, the losses, getting your butt kicked in training camp that year, going into your first NFL season, so lots of things to learn from.
Sam, Jared was talking about the pass protection from the offensive line just in general. Do you think it's fair to say that last game was maybe you and Brock collectively one of your better pass protecting games and just blocking in general for you two?
I think a lot of guys took a great jump from week 1 to week 2. Starting with the offensive line, they played outstanding last week. You saw 180 yards on the ground, protecting quarterback the entire game. Again, Brock and I were involved with protection a lot. We thought we did a great job too. So yeah.
You guys are blocking, wide receivers blocking, everybody's kind of blocking. I mean, is that part of the DNA of this offense, that nobody's too big to do the dirty work?
Absolutely. There's a lot of selfless individuals on this team. I say this frequently, but there's a lot of mouths to feed. You see the wideouts getting involved in the run game. Khalif Raymond, Coach Campbell reflected on the game the other day, and on the trap block that Jameer ran down the sideline, our sideline, for 40 yards, Khalif had a fantastic block that you'd probably never hear about unless you really sat down and watched the tape and reflected on it with the entire team. So we expect everybody to block that's out there touching the field.
How much do you need to be watching out for a guy like Kyle Hamilton as an offense in this game?
He's a tremendous player. He's all over the field, makes a lot of plays.
Okay, so that's the only part that I really wanted to get to was that 15 seconds of Sam Laporta talking about the trap block and how Khalif Raymond made a key block in that game where Jahmyr Gibbs skirted down the sideline. He's, like he said, he says it often, and I just found the video that I really wanted to play, so I'll get that queued up here in just a moment.
We have to account.
But it's super important for this team, the way they operate, the way the culture and the identity has been built upon since day one. There's been some things popping up on the internet where you'll see very similar plays that the Lions are running. I saw one at 5 o'clock this morning where it was an identical look of Dan Campbell on the right side, lined up tight to the line in a tight end formation, making a key block, and then they do the pitch out to the other side for a touchdown. Same play going to the right side in this most recent game with Jahmyr Gibbs. So our couple of games ago with Jahmyr Gibbs. The reason why I bring this up and the reason why I wanted to highlight Sam Laporta and what he says about the selfless attitude is that's what this culture and identity is all about. So when you have a fantasy team, right, you hear all the complaints, well, these guys are not getting the ball enough. My guys on my fantasy, they don't care about your fantasy team at all. They care about a W. And the way that they get there is by working together. And the reason why the offense runs as well as it does is because everybody is out there blocking. If you haven't seen the highlights of the David Montgomery run for 72 yards, which I put it up on my Twitter as well, almost immediately, and I narrated it a little bit to kind of highlight all of the different blocks. I mean, every single receiver on that play and tight ends made a key block to get David Montgomery through that hole. Now, there was only one or two guys that were unblocked, and it was a safety coming from the other side of the field. And then, obviously Marlon Humphrey, chased him down. But without Khalif Raymond picking up that block in this most recent game versus the Ravens, without Amon-Ra St. Brown sealing off that end too on the wide receiver, without Sam Laporta doing what he did in that game, I mean, that play doesn't happen. And so the selflessness of this team has been on display now for a few seasons. And it's exactly why I'm putting together, it's an article, it's a piece that I'm also going to turn into a video. And that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want someone to steal it, because they've been stealing my stuff a lot lately. It's going to be interesting when I highlight everybody. And I put it together with all the clips and all of the different things that they've said, because it's coming to life on the field. This is the year, like the most unexpected year that I think that the Lions should actually go to the Super Bowl. It's the most unexpected year by everybody. This might be the year that makes the most sense to me. They just have to play together and stay healthy to make it happen. I don't think if we suffer a bunch more injuries that it'll happen, but and that's not to say that they won't fight. It's not to say that they won't win games. It's just, man, when you empty the tank and you don't have anything to refill it with, it's pretty tough. We saw that last year. Eric, comments on that while I get the next one loaded up.
Yeah, I saw a quote from Johnny Morton yesterday, and I don't know what it was exactly, but he said, how many wide receivers that just got, what did J-Mo get? $26 million a year or whatever. How many receivers like that get 2 catches for 50-something yards on the very first drive of the game, and he doesn't have the ball thrown his way the whole rest of the game? But what's he out there doing the whole rest of the game? He's blocking his ass off on every single play. You just don't get that. There's too many divas in the NFL. I don't see AJ Brown or Chase or CeeDee Lamb out there blocking their butt off in a fourth quarter after they got 2 passes on the first drive of the game, and that's it for the whole rest of the game.
Yeah, you'd see these guys pouting. Yeah, you'd see them pouting on the sideline, like, throwing their helmets or getting up in the coach's face. I mean, you do see it more often than not. And that's just not, it's not the Lions' MO, man. It's something that they pride themselves on is doing what other teams and other players are not willing to do, which is to play for the guy next to you.
And I think that's exactly why the Detroit Lions drafted the kid like Tesla. It's not so much because he put up all these amazing stats in college. No, the guy was willing to block even in a Senior Bowl game where he wasn't originally invited to it. And it was his blocking skills that caught the eye of Brad Holmes. And that's why he got drafted. It wasn't because he put up 1 million yards and 1 million touchdowns in college.
Well, to expand upon that a little bit, to think that another player would put that kind of display on in a game like that is totally meaningless and it could completely ruin your draft stock had you been injured. He didn't care. He was happy to even be there. And so he wanted to put his best foot forward and show anything and everything that he could. Isaac Tesla, we've seen the ability that he has to catch the football. The highlight reel catches, those are great. Those are what we call flashes, right? The flashes are great. It's not what you want out of a player. You want a player like Amon-Ra St. Brown that does all the dirty work, that stays quiet. And what I mean by quiet is how many times, Eric, did I say last year and the year before, man, Amon-Ra had another 100 yards?
Yeah.
I didn't even see it. Like, it just happens. And those are the types of players that you want, that they just, every single week in, week out, they produce. Sometimes it's loud and most of the time it's not, where they're just doing their job. All right, so this next one on Sam Laporta, and then we'll take a break from videos, but this is the one, to me, that I think that I really enjoyed from Sam because of what he said, how he said it. This is the ticket. This is the ticket for your Detroit Lions to win a Super Bowl. Here we go.
I think Johnny Moe is doing a great job of distributing the ball, and there are certainly a lot of mouths to feed in terms of the skill position. You know, it's like a mom with like 6, 7, 8 kids. You know, you got to get them all fed. You got to do your best, get clothes on their back. I think Johnny Moe's doing a great job with that. The skill position group, very, very. What word am I looking for? We really just want the best for the team. Right. You ask any of the guys, that's truly what they want. J-Mo, you want to catch 10 balls this weekend, or you want to win? He's going, yeah, I'm going to want to win. You know, okay, then you might catch 2 balls. It might be a post ball for a touchdown for a big play, but it might only be 2 balls. Great, coach. I'm going to do it. I'm going to sacrifice that. St. Brown, are you going to dig out that nickel 25 times today and let David Montgomery toke the rock? Of course. Whatever you want. I'm serious. So I think it's very uncharacteristic, possibly, of an NFL team, because there's a lot of high-profile athletes out there nowadays, and they want the limelight, they want the spotlight, and I think we handle that very well here.
Holy cow. How intense?
I think
how intense is it to go back and think for just a moment? This was recorded on July 22nd, 2025. And that just happened versus the Ravens.
Yep.
And it happened versus the Bears, right? Didn't J-Mo only have 2 balls for 108 yards or something like that?
Yeah.
And then it just happened again. J-Mo had 2 balls. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown's digging out the nickel. J-Mo's blocking downfield. All they want to do is win. They do it what's best for the team, right? And it's just crazy to me that he predicted that without even predicting it. He just said, this is what we're going to do. This is why we're going to do it. And he did it. So, man, hats off to Sam Laporta, because, you know, he's a player that I was just listening to something a minute ago, and I'm going to try to get it loaded up before we get off today, because there's something that people were saying about Sam Laporta when he was drafted. I'm sure a lot of you remember the things that were said, but Sam Laporta had a breakout year his rookie year. A lot of people say he had a down year in year 2, but he didn't. And so far in year 3, I mean, he's not lighting it up per se. He's still there, but he's doing what needs to get done. These guys want to win a Super Bowl, and they know, and it's what I've been saying for a while, that Super Bowl ring will do so much more for these guys' career than getting 1,000 yards every single season and 100 balls. One ring will put these guys on the map for the rest of their life. So, all right, that's it. I'll get off the soapbox with those 2 things. But I'd like to know in the comments below later and in the chat right now, how impressed are you by your Detroit Lions and their willingness to be selfless and put their bodies on the line for their brothers and make the plays that are necessary to help them win the game? For me, I'm super impressed. Super, super impressed by these guys. Go ahead, Eric.
How selfless of a team can you have? And when they say that a team takes on the charisma and the characteristics of their head coach, it's this culture they talk about. Well, this is the culture. It's absolute selfishness, or selfish. What am I trying to say? Selflessness. There we go. They're totally selfless. They are there for their fellow man, not for themselves. They're there for the win, the W. That's all they care about. They don't care about the rest. If you just care about the wins, everything else takes care of itself. And this just shows you right there that they've been preaching this mentality from day one. And I love it. I love it. I love it. And I think that was one of the things that you had to, it took 2 or 3 years to get J-Mo to come around to that way of thinking. And a couple of the other players, it took a couple of years to get them to see, oh, it's better if we win the game than if I have a big game. This is pretty awesome. I like winning 15 games. This is awesome. This is like back when I was a national champion in college. This is great, you know. So when the wins come, the stats will come as well.
Okay. Let me take a look at our sheet here real quick. I don't want to do a bunch of videos up front. Ooh, the man versus zone report. I forgot about that yesterday. I don't think I did it. But why don't you run us through the NFC North report? Let's get that out of the way. It's actually 8:30. Shoot. Nah, we'll skip 30 at 30 right now. I'll do it at 9. But go ahead and go through the NFC North report.
All right. Today, your NFC North report is brought to you by Pro Sports Zone and YOOPERLITES.com. Do the Minnesota Vikings have a controversy at quarterback? Well, one analyst at CBS thinks so. Former Pro Bowl quarterback and Super Bowl MVP, quarterback Phil Simms, has delivered a troubling critique of Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy, stating, quote, "I would be worried about J.J. McCarthy." His biggest concern is McCarthy's throwing mechanics, claiming he is, quote, "just not throwing the ball well and is only accurate when he throws the ball as hard as he can, suggesting a significant lack of touch." This criticism comes as backup quarterback Carson Wentz is playing well in McCarthy's absence, leading Simms to predict that it wouldn't shock him if Wentz keeps the starting job even after McCarthy is healthy. McCarthy is currently recovering from a week 2 injury and could potentially be healthy enough to return as soon as the team's week 5 game in London. Through his first 2 career games, McCarthy has thrown for 301 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. So do you think there's a controversy at quarterback with the Vikings, Will?
It's too early to tell because Wentz is only in there for 1 game so far, and he's going to have another 2 or 3 games before McCarthy gets back. Look, if I'm a coach of a team, and you know how I am, I go to the hot hand. So if Wentz is playing hot, why would you back off of that? I wouldn't. And I don't think it's so much of a quarterback controversy as it would be, hey, this guy's a veteran. He's got a ton of skins on the wall, like Dan likes to say. He's played at a high level, and right now he's playing well. So why would I want to remove that from my team? I wouldn't. I would just say, you know what? Sorry, JJ, you're just going to have to sit and learn for a little bit. Now, if Wentz starts to fall off and things start to go sideways, well, then, hey, we're going to get you in there. Even more so than that, I would say this. Why not find a way to, keep Wentz as your number 1, but then figure out a way to put JJ in on some plays? They do like his ability to run. So if you run a 2 quarterback play, I'm not saying put him back there as a running back because that would just be stupid. But figure out a way to get him involved in the game a little bit. There's always those opportunities. Whereas maybe a team is going to think he's going to run the football, but you put him back in there to throw a pass instead. Maybe on a 4th down situation, they're going to think, oh, he's running the football for sure. Well, no, he drops back, he does a little play action, and boom, pops it out, and they get a 1st down. I would find a unique way to integrate him into the game. Now, obviously, Kevin doesn't listen to this channel, so don't use those ideas, but stay with a hot hand, right? Just stay with a hot hand. You have to. I think it's career, what's the word I'm looking for? Scrap that. I feel like it's imperative that these coaches try to get as much right as possible. And if you're winning and then all of a sudden you go to a quarterback and you go back to your starting quarterback that started the season, you start losing. I mean, coach made the wrong move, right? But you'll never know because you won't know what Wentz could have done. So look at Sam Darnold last year. Had he, had a couple of bad games, which he did have a couple of, bad games, very few. He only lost 3 games last year. But the games that he didn't do well in, maybe they could have, if JJ was healthy, could have put JJ in at that point, but look what he did the rest of the season then. You could have made a bad move there by taking him out of the game. So stick with a hot hand, man, always.
Yep. And the Minnesota Vikings have a 2-game stretch here over in Europe. They play this Sunday and next Sunday over in London, this Sunday in Ireland, next Sunday in London. So I really believe that this is going to be a 2-week test with Wentz to see what he does. If he does okay, I think they stick with him. If he doesn't do okay, they go back to JJ McCarthy. I do think it's very odd that at the end of the second game that McCarthy was in, he had 0 injury, walked to the locker room just fine, and then the next day he shows up on the injury report and Wentz is in. I thought that was kind of strange.
Think about this for a moment. Carson Wentz led the 2017 Eagles, all the way to what game was that? Was that
the Super Bowl?
Yeah, but was that the division? Was it the division game that he got injured?
I think he made it all the way to the Super Bowl, and then
did he get injured in the Super Bowl and then Foles finished it?
No, just before the Super Bowl.
So it was the championship game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, think about that. The dude has crazy talent. He's led teams all the way there, and no one thought that Wentz would do it. And then same thing for Foles. I mean, Foles had a up and down career, and then you put him in the last game, he goes and wins a Super Bowl. I mean, stick with a hot hand, but there's JJ waiting in the wings should something happen, and maybe he can find a way to win too. What's next in the NFC North report?
All right. Up next, we have the Chicago Bears. Do the Chicago Bears have an issue at running back? The jack of all trades, DJ Moore, is now their 3rd leading rusher on the Chicago Bears this season. The Chicago Bears' use of star wide receiver DJ Moore in the backfield is no longer just a novelty. It has become a regular and intentional part of their offense under Ben Johnson. This strategic move is driven by 2 main factors: Moore's savvy and physical running ability, and the team's lack of a true bruiser running back to complement the speed of lead back DeAndre Swift. The player expected to fill the power back role, Roschon Johnson, has surprisingly not played a single offensive snap through the first 3 weeks of the season. Using Moore at running back creates strategic advantages, allowing the offense to use deception, motion, and misdirection to keep offenses off balance. Sounds like Ben Johnson, correct? The primary risk of the strategy is the increased physical toll on the team's highest paid offensive player. Moore is currently on pace for 34 carries this season, which would be more than double his previous career high of 14 carries. The Bears' rushing statistics through the first 3 games of 2025 by running back. DeAndre Swift has 51 carries for 238 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kyle Managai has 13 carries for 44 yards and 0 touchdowns. And then number 3, DJ Moore, has 6 carries for 15 yards. So even though DJ Moore is running the ball quite a bit, he's not getting very many yards. 6 carries for 15 yards. That's just over 2 yards a carry. And then Roschon Johnson, 0 catches, 0 yards, 0 touchdowns. So I do think that is going to come back to bite the Chicago Bears, that they don't have a second running back in the system that Ben Johnson runs. Now on to the Packers. So it's been a long time coming, says Kenny Clark, and he will be hunting his old teammate, Jordan Love. Ahead of the highly anticipated Sunday night football matchup, the Dallas Cowboys defensive tackle Kenny Clark sent a direct warning to his former team, the Green Bay Packers, and quarterback Jordan Love. Clark, who was part of the blockbuster trade that sent Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers, expressed his excitement about finally being able to hit Love in a live game, stating, "Yeah, you get to hit him now. I'm excited, bro." He admitted that facing the Packers is something he has been thinking about since the moment he was traded to Dallas. Clark also revealed that being traded was probably the most shocked he's ever been in his entire life, as he never believed he would be the player sent to Dallas in the Parsons trade. Through the first 3 games with the Cowboys, Clark has already made an impact, recording 10 total tackles and a sack. This is a major revenge game opportunity for both Clark against the Packers and Micah Parsons against the Cowboys. And so far on the season, Micah Parsons only has 1.5 sacks. So far, it's pretty even on that trade. And I would not want to be Jordan Love this weekend.
All right. I don't really have much comments today for the NFC North. I'm trying to get some stuff done here. Next up, I'd like to know if you guys want Calvin Shepard to run man or more zone this weekend against the Cleveland Browns offense. Now, this is a trap question because coming up next is, well, man versus zone review. Week 4, we have some stats about, now this isn't all the keys to the game. Keys to the game, like I said, will be recorded this week. It'll be put out. It'll also be one of the first episodes on the audio version of the podcast, which should get released this weekend. Assuming I find all the time in the world to get everything done, which eventually will be found on the Believe Network. Contract is done, signed, so that should all be happening very soon. Let's just dive right into it, man. Man versus zone. We know that Calvin Shepard so far has been aggressive. How aggressive? He's actually been more aggressive than Aaron Glenn. Now, what happened last week versus the Ravens, which, by the way, I found this absolutely hilarious, which I saw Eric posted it yesterday too. Mm-hmm. Justin Rogers put out this post, which I happened to be on Substack at the time, and I saw this come through, where he said, here, you know what? I think I took a picture of it. I want to make sure I read it exact.
Yeah, I got it right here. Before I could even ask Calvin Shepard about,
I got it. Yeah, hold on, I got it. So last week, obviously during my keys to the game, I put out the Lions needed to run spy. I went through a very in-depth defensive schematic and look at what the Lions have been doing, what they should be doing. Ran a couple of plays from the previous week of the Baltimore Ravens and what I felt would work against the Ravens, which was contain, right? Obviously, against Lamar Jackson. And then run a spy. At some point, you had to have a couple of guys with their chest forward to Lamar. You can't always have your back turned in man running downfield. And so yesterday, Justin Rogers put this out. He says, before I could even ask Calvin Shepard about his philosophical changes on spy defense, he made a joke about it in his opening statement today. Quote, the elephant in the room. Justin finally got to me. He got us Monday. It took him 4 years, but he finally convinced me. So, yeah, I knew that was coming. Justin gave me a call last week and was like, you've got to do this, man. So we did it. So that's out the way. End quote. Justin said, pretty funny. Well, what's funny to me is I've been asking for the spy for years with this Lions defense. And anytime we go up against a running quarterback, that spy was always the answer. What I'm taking away from this is that Aaron Glenn, the Lions defense, have never once entertained running a spy. Now, there has been times where, you know, in games that you'll see a linebacker kind of hanging out. It appears as a spy, but it's really not. But in this game, there was a definite spy. And you saw it immediately show up on that Al-Qadim Muhammad sack when he couldn't go anywhere. Lamar couldn't go anywhere because Alex Anzalone was staring right at him and was charging him. The sides of that defense had perfect contain on the outside. They did not get deeper than Lamar, so he had nowhere to escape to. And if he took a long way around, well, he probably could have lost 10, 12 yards on the play. Instead, Al-Qadim Muhammad got him from the backside, and Alex Anzalone was right there to finish it, no matter what happened. So I'm glad that you know Justin has been peppering these guys with the same idea of run a spy. and it's finally starting to show up. Had they not run the spy, man, that game could have been totally different. But what I noticed throughout the game as I went and rewatched it is there was a defensive change. There was a scheme change. And it appeared probably about tail end of the third quarter that it just felt like the Lions started to get away from contain a little bit. You could tell it was still on their mind, but I think Aiden said it best. At some point, we're going to run, straight at them and just charge straight at them. And that obviously started to show up too. That doesn't work without your DBs playing sticky coverage. And I felt the DBs played a much better game in the second half than they did the first half. That also showed up on tape. I know that Terrian's getting a ton of flack right now. And according to Calvin Shepard, Terrian Arnold he's not benched, but he will be, put it this way, Amik Robertson's going to get a little bit more opportunity in the outside. Which I also said, after the first game, gosh, who went down in the first game against the Packers? Who went down? It was Terrian Arnold, right? Terrian Arnold had the groin injury. And they did not put Amik Robertson on the outside. They still kept him inside in that nickel slot. And I thought that was a bad move. They should have put Amik on the outside. And they didn't. He still got some plays on the outside, but they didn't put him out there to completely take over for Terrian Arnold. And now that's happening. Terrian's still going to be involved. Obviously, within some of the man schemes, he'll probably be involved. In some of the zone schemes, he'll be involved. But in some of the man scheme, it's probably going to be Amik on the outside. I doubt they're going to put Terrian Arnold in at nickel. It's probably going to be Avonte Maddox, down there in the nickel. So that'll all come out in my keys to the game, what I think is going to happen. Anything you wanted to add to that? I know you're about to read that, but what anything you wanted to add to this?
I'm trying to figure out where you're at.
What do you mean?
on the sheet.
Nowhere.
Oh, nowhere. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not on the sheet.
Oh, okay. I was trying to see how much they were in man and how much they were in zone.
No, that's coming up right now.
Yeah, I don't know where to look it up at.
No, it's not on the sheet, buddy. It's on there.
Okay.
It's on there. It's called the Man Zone Report. It's from yesterday. We just didn't get to it.
Okay.
We didn't get to it, so here it is. Let's just roll right into it right now. All right, so I asked you guys the question. Do you want Calvin Shepard to run man or more zone this weekend? And the reason why I said it's a trap question, looks like 64% of you guys said zone. Let's see if that pans out. Cleveland Browns, week 4, Detroit Lions run man coverage 34.1% of the time. Zone coverage 62.4% of the time. Okay. Versus man, Jerry Jeudy, 44 routes run, 3 receptions. 38, that's freaking terrible. Receiving yards, 38. Target rate, 20.4%. So in the man scheme, what you're going to notice between man and zone for Jerry Jeudy is I'll skip down. I'll come back up. Against zone, he has 7 receptions on 80 routes run. He's received 96 yards and a 15% target rate. So he's targeted less in zone versus man. But he has less receiving yards in man versus zone. That's a big key difference. Cedric Tillman in man is targeted 15.2% of routes run versus man, he's targeted 14.5% of routes run. So it's fairly even. Jamari Thrash, 10% in zone, 17.6% in man. So when the Lions are in man or any team is in man against the Browns, it would appear that they're passing the ball a little bit more, which would make sense because anytime you're in a man situation, you think that you're going to be able to win, right? You're going to be able to win those one-on-ones. So for me, when I look at this, and if this were to tell me everything for the game, if this is the only piece of data that I had, it's telling me that they are less successful in man, is what it's telling me. Let's see what they said. The Lions have played man coverage at a top 5 rate this season, but rank among the 10 worst teams in yard allowed per coverage target, 8.3, first down plus touchdown rate, 45.5%, and explosive play rate allowed, 25% from man. The Browns wide receivers has struggled against man this season. Cedric Tillman has enjoyed the most success against those looks, but he isn't seeing a strong enough target rate for fantasy managers. Take this out. Like why are we doing analysis among fantasy? Who cares about fantasy? Anyway, for fantasy managers to heavily invest in him, this could be a week for the Lions man coverage defense to get back on track. Interesting. Well, now that you know where we're at on the sheet, what do you think?
Yeah, well, in your poll, I voted for man coverage.
Okay.
Not knowing any of that information because I could not find it. And I think that this is an opportunity for Calvin Shepard and this defense to run a lot of man coverage, and we need some practice. Terry and Arnold need some practice. I think that Amik is going to get some more run at some man coverage on the outside. So I'm looking forward to this being more of the style of defense that Kelvin Shepard wants to run. And I don't think we're going to be running a spy on Joe Flacco this weekend.
No,
I think we're just fine with that. So you're not going to see a defense that looks like last week's. It's going to be completely different. I think they're going to be able to pin their ears back a little bit more and try to get after the quarterback a little bit more. I think this is one of those games where they don't have to really worry about the running back. So maybe sell out more to stop the pass and get after the quarterback, who is not very mobile. And if they get a few running yards, fine, they get a few running yards. So I see this game as maybe that Judkins, the second round pick for the Browns, he might get a little run at getting some nice runs this weekend. But I think the Lions are going to try to shut down that passing game of Joe Flacco.
Okay. Okay, so you said you don't think that we have to worry much about the Browns' run game, right?
Mm-hmm. And if they do some run game stuff, let them.
I'm trying to find their stats real quick. I'm trying to look at the overall. I just want the overall, which is in here. I know I have it in here. Here it is. Maybe I don't.
So I had a neat little article that was put together.
Hold on. Okay, I want to finish this one first.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna have to. I can't find where is the Fox at? It's not in the sheet. I gotta go up one more. There we go.
But I got a good little stat about Flacco. Through 3 games, he has 2 touchdown passes, 4 interceptions, and a fumble. And that O-line has allowed 53 pressures, 31st, but only 6 sacks in 12th. So he gets a lot of pressure on him, and he throws a lot of interceptions. So I think the Lions should keep it up and keep getting after Mr. Joe Flacco this weekend.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt with that. I mean, this is obviously a game where your defensive ends, your defensive interior, there's no reason why they can't pin back on Joe Flacco. The guy's immobile. He's 40 years old. He's worse off than, I mean, look, I hate to even compare that to Jared Goff. Totally different quarterback. I mean, Joe Flacco was one of the better quarterbacks in his prime. At his age, can he still pick you apart with a pass? He can. There's a reason why he's starting. He can still throw a damn good football. But this is an opportunity for the Lions defense to get after him. And, unfortunately or fortunately, for the Browns, they have had Myles Garrett to train against. on that offensive line. So they've gone up against a really good test, obviously the best in the league, Myles Garrett. So they're used to it, right? They're used to having a defense get after them. This is where, when I get into the rest of the keys of the game tomorrow, that you'll see the offense rankings, the offensive line rankings, what they're doing against, the edge rushers and in the pass rush, win rates and in the, blocking win rates and all that good stuff. How does it stack up? And where are we going to find some leverage? The run game for the Browns. They are 29th in the league, 86.7 yards per game, which tells me that their offensive line is not doing enough, right? Not doing enough. Their offense, scoring offense, 30th in the league at 15.3% or 15.3 points per game. Their red zone offense is, where is it? 8th, which is surprising. They're 8th in the league right now, converting on 71.4% of red zone trips. How they're even getting to the red zone is beyond me, but 71.4% of times in the red zone, they're scoring a touchdown. Their third down offense is actually better than the Lions right now. Their third down offense is 42.6% conversion rate. Or I'm sorry, they're getting to third down on a 42.6% clip. Their completion or conversion rate is a little bit different, which I'll get into all that when I get into all the slides, but that'll be in the keys to the game. I'll do all the different slides that compare and contrast Lions defense versus their offense and so on and so forth. So to get back to this, man versus zone. Clearly, the Lions should run a little bit more man against the Browns, which we are a man team. As All 22 says, we major in man. We haven't been the best at it this year. If we're giving up 25% of bigger plays in man versus zone. I think zone offers you a few different looks. Obviously, it gives you some different opportunity. But in this game, man, you really don't have to run a zone versus Flacco because our defense should be able to stick with Judy and Tillman. Like, there's no way that those guys should be able to beat our DBs. There's no way. We've seen better just in the previous game versus the Ravens. We've seen way better as far as receivers go. I don't know how the Packers, outside of this crazy good defense by the Browns, I don't know how the Packers couldn't do anything. I mean, obviously, the Browns offense couldn't score. They had a very rough time in scoring, but they capitalized on turnovers, right? They capitalized on opportunity. Their special teams came up huge. All right, let's flip the script. Let's go to the Lions. What should the Lions do? And where is it? There it is. Here we go. All right, Detroit Lions versus the Cleveland Browns this week. Browns run a zone versus man scheme, almost identical, right? 47.4% of the time in man. Well, it is identical. 47.4% of the time in zone. Their zone coverage is ranked 32nd in the league, but their man coverage is ranked number 1. Insane to me. If you run man, I'm telling you right now, if you run zone against the Lions, we pick you apart across the middle all day long. You run zone, we pick you apart across the middle. You run man, that's typically where I think the Lions like to get their running backs involved when we're up against a man look. But the reason why their man coverage is so good is their DBs have been playing pretty sticky football. And they also have a really good defensive line that is able to get through and create some havoc. All right, so versus man, Khalif Raymond. He's ran 15 routes. He's one reception, 4 yards, 6.7% target rate. Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is obviously your leader. 10 receptions, 24 routes run. That's a really good reception rate, right? 41.7% target rate, 110 yards, 39 PPR points if you care about fantasy. So Amon-Ra St. Brown should be your guy this weekend. If you look at what this is telling you, just off of this stat line alone, Amon-Ra St. Brown should be your guy against man. Jamison Williams against man, for whatever reason, he's not getting a whole lot of action. A 4.2% target rate? How is J-Mo not getting one-on-one opportunities? He's just burning these guys. Is he not able to release off the line? I think that's some tape that I need to dive into to see if he's not releasing off the line well. Isaac Tesla's doing a better job. 30% target rate, 29 receiving yards on the 1 reception. Against zone, there you go. Khalif Raymond, 10.9% target rate. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 18.7%. But look at his receiving yards. They go up in zone. 10 receptions in zone, 10 receptions in man. Jamison Williams in zone, 163 yards, 14.5% target rate, 7 receptions. And then Isaac Tesla, his second catch of the season, only targeted 6.7% of the time. All right, let's see what they said. The Browns are the most man-heavy defense in the league thus far, ranking as an average to above average unit in most team man coverage metrics. Amon-Ra St. Brown ranks second among 101 qualifying wide receivers in fantasy points per route run against man this season, making him the ideal player to overcome a slightly tougher matchup and assuage concerns about his potential output. Very interesting. Very interesting. Obviously, the Browns are going to have a plan for St. Brown, you would think. And if it were me, if I were the Browns, I would probably run. Honestly, I would not be running single high safety. I would not. I would be running 2 safeties over top of my corners, hand off those routes, and drop your middle linebacker back. That's what I would do. I would rush with 4. I would not blitz a whole lot against Jared Goff, which gives him time, which is also not ideal. But if Myles Garrett can beat Taylor Decker, then there you go. What I don't want to see is Jared Goff taking one for Myles Garrett. That's what I don't want to see.
So I'm going to tell you something that might make you salivate a little bit. The Cleveland Browns run single high safety 40% of the time, the most in the NFL. And their blitz rate is only 28% in the middle of the pack.
That's those are stats that I looked at yesterday that I wouldn't run it against the Lions.
Yep.
I wouldn't. They I mean, that's what we run a large percent of the time, or did up until this year. So Amon-Ra St. Brown's really comfortable against that style of a defense. The question is, what's going to happen with the injury report so far? So who's trending that could give Amon-Ra St. Brown an edge, could give Jared Goff an edge, could give maybe our offensive line an edge? You know, what happened yesterday? What do we know about the injury report thus far that could make a difference in this game? Let me get that pulled up. Oh, here is my injury report. There it is. Okay. Let's get this up on the screen. All right, your week 4 injury report for Thursday. Taylor Decker still on the sheet with his shoulder. Now, a lot of this is just rest, just like it was the first 2 weeks, or first 3 weeks, I guess. Daniel Thomas, well, he's done. I don't even know why he's listed, but he's done. Sione Vaki, probably not going to play this week. Derek Barnes is limited with a knee. Zach Cunningham showed up on the injury report yesterday for the first time this week with a hamstring. He was limited. Al-Qadim Muhammad was limited with a knee. But the good news about Al-Qadim Muhammad is it sounds just like I said in the video about what we learned about the injury report from Tuesday, I believe, or Monday or Tuesday. No, it's Tuesday. That he should be fine. He should be good to go. On the Browns, though, their offensive line is taking kind of a hit, but Joe Bitonio was a full participant yesterday. Jack Conklin was limited with an elbow injury. Their safety, Grant Delpit, who's played pretty good this season, he was limited with a back injury. Myles Garrett, he's fine. He had some rest. Mike Hall Jr., defensive tackle, had a knee injury. He was limited. Shelby Harris, other side defensive tackle, was limited with a hamstring. David Njoku on the offense, tight end, full participant after a knee injury popped up for him. And then on the backside, Denzel Ward, limited participant with a shoulder. Cedric Tillman on the offense, wide receiver, was limited with a hand and a hip injury. So the only benefit to the Lions here is if something were to happen with Denzel Ward or Jack Conklin. Outside of that, I'm expecting a full go from everybody. Both sides. Everyone should be fairly healthy outside of Daniel Thomas for the Lions. Everyone and Sione Baki. Everyone else should be a full go. It's going to be a great matchup, man. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great game.
That Denzel Ward injury is going to be very interesting. I saw one report that said it was a shoulder, and another one said it was a neck, I believe. So it's something up there in the neck, shoulder area. And if he can't put his arms above his head, that might be a long day for him against our wide receivers.
I can't imagine that they would leave him in the game if he can't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't do that. They'd have to find somebody else to play.
It'll be very interesting sitting in the stands. I'm really going to pay attention to see how much they do a single high safety and man coverage. And I'm just going to be screaming, throw it to JMO every time there's a single high safety out there.
I can't forget binoculars this week. So every week,
yeah.
I mean, even though I'm close and I can see, I really want to get in deeper this week and get some more views on what's going on in this line or the one-on-one. It's going to be tough to record it, but I really want to get some one-on-one matchups in my eyeballs.
I'm hoping they're down in our end zone more this week and not down at the other end.
I'm in the middle.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I'm in the middle.
I'm right on the one end zone. So when they score down by the tunnel, I love it.
Let's taking a look at this other list here, man. The stats are there's so many. The other day when I was putting together the sheets, I literally, for the first time in a long time, I had paralysis by analysis, man. I was so stuck because I was looking at so many different stats and I have so many different links to go to different places. I was stuck. It's like my brain just locked up. Like, it's too much. It's enough. Way too much. They've made this so convoluted with so many different stats tracking different things, and they're so meaningless. Half of them. You just need to get back to the root.
Mm-hmm.
The root of the game. So I'm looking at this receiving versus scheme. Amon-Ra St. Brown is the third best receiver in the league right now with a grade of 92.9 against man coverage. He has 37 yards of yak, which would rank him 6th in the league. And let's see, what's this? I've never looked at this one before. I'm going to have to go through this today. It's pretty interesting. But anyway, he's the third best against man. So again, it tells you that Amon-Ra should have a great game. All right, Eric, let's get up to Clash of the Titans, man. What's going on there?
All right, so we have a Clash of the Titans this week. The Lions' unstoppable run game meets the Browns' immovable wall. The Cleveland Browns have the #1 defense in the league going against arguably the number 3 or 4 offense in the league with the Detroit Lions. The upcoming Lions-Browns game is being framed as an instant classic matchup between Detroit's elite rushing offense and Cleveland's dominant run defense. Well, yesterday, Lions offensive coordinator Johnny Morton sparked the conversation by confidently stating he doesn't think the Browns have seen a run game like ours yet. And then Browns defensive coordinator and former Lions head coach Jim Schwartz calmly acknowledged the challenge, but noted his defense has already faced other good rushing teams like the Ravens and Packers. Well, the Ravens and the Packers, they each have one running back. The Lions have two. The Lions offense ranks 4th in the NFL with 149 rushing yards per game and is coming off of a 224-yard, 4-touchdown performance against the Baltimore Ravens. The Browns defense ranks 1st in the NFL, allowing a league-low 57.3 rushing yards per game and has not allowed a single opponent to rush for more than 90 yards this season. And I wanted to go to PFF and see how the Lions run game stacks up versus the Browns run defense. So I really want to know who's going to win this game, the Lions run game or the Browns defense versus the run. So if we take a look,
You want the link to the Browns O-line?
No, not the Browns O-line, but
The Browns defense,
man.
PFF?
Yeah, I have it, but I am signed out on this computer and do not have a password
You have it.
or email or password. Not on this computer. Man.
Well, here, let me just throw it up on the screen.
Okay.
And it should be the same as the other one.
Yeah. Did you put it on the sheet somewhere?
Yeah, I don't know if it's on this sheet. I think it's on the pregame sheet that has all the stats.
Yeah.
I'll text it to you again.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna throw it up on the screen though, so then you can see it from there.
All right.
Just tell me where you want me to navigate to.
I just wanted to look at their run defensive grades and then our running grades. And let's see kind of who's matching up against who and how these numbers look through the eyes of PFF versus the eyes of just the numbers of how many rushing yards they're letting up.
Okay, so their run defense grades versus our Lions rushing.
Yeah.
Or O-line.
Or our O-line, yes. For run blocking grades.
I gotcha.
Yeah, our O-lineman versus their defensive line. So their defensive line versus our O-line. Which one's got the upper hand this week with the run game?
All right, there you go. I have both of them up. If you just want just the run block versus their run, those will show up. But if you want to go left or right, then I'd have to navigate a little bit. So we can go back and forth. So right now, if you're looking at Myles Garrett, or do you have something you want to walk through?
Nope. I was just wondering who's going to win this out. Our offensive tackles between Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell, who are the 2 top-rated run blocking tackles in the league as a combo, and then their 2 defensive ends. You have Myles Garrett, and I can't remember the other fellow's name on the other side. Average them together. Let's see
Isaiah
who wins
McGuire.
that battle. Yeah.
Yeah, there's also another stat that if you look at pass rush win rates and pass block win rates, that's probably it's probably the better one to look at.
Yep.
I can throw that up too. I should have those pretty handy, but if if you're just looking straight away, I mean, Myles Garrett right now, his run defense grade's 87.3. And then Isaiah McGuire is number 5 here on the list. He's 74.3. Missed tackle rate 14.3% for Isaiah McGuire. Myles Garrett doesn't miss a thing, 0%. He has 6 stops on the season so far. Isaiah McGuire has 3 stops on the season so far. Stop rate is 11.8% for Myles Garrett. Isaiah McGuire's 8.6. I think the bigger of the battles, honestly, for me, Eric, is going to be interior.
Yeah.
You know, I think that when you're looking at a team like the Browns, who are really good on the outside, you're probably going to want to run a little bit of inside zone and duo, which sounds like a Montgomery game to me. So, again, if you guys care about fantasy, it probably is another Montgomery style of a week. Malik Collins, one of the better interior defensive linemen right now, is a 67.5 against the run. He has a 40% missed tackle rate. 40%. 2 tackles on the season and 1 missed tackle. So, I mean, that's 2 missed tackles, sorry. So it's not a ton of opportunity. Only has 1 stop. There you go, 1 stop. And that's really about it. No penalties or anything. The other guy to worry about would be Aiden Huntington up here. 72.4 against the run. 3 tackles. 0 missed tackles. 18.8% stop rate. 3 stops on the season. And then Shelby Harris. Where's Shelby at? Here's Shelby. 63.9. So across the board, I mean, their interior defensive line is not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. The other thing that we really need to worry about is their linebackers, right? Their linebackers are probably the biggest key into stopping that second wave of the run game, or the second level of the run game. Look, you're not going to get massive yards in this game unless you can beat the linebackers. Going up against Carson Schlesinger, there's a reason why the Lions met with this guy in the preseason or prior to the draft, had him in, I believe, for a top 30 visit as well. They wanted this guy, and they didn't get him. So he's playing extremely well. 77.8 against the run, 8 tackles, 1 missed tackle, 7.7% missed tackle rate, 5 stops on the season. Just playing out of his mind as a rookie. Devin Bush, he's having a great year right now. 74.7 against the run, 7 tackles, 2 missed tackles, only a 14.3% missed tackle rate. Like the 14% missed tackle rate, it's not terrible. I mean, it's really not, especially this early in the season. And then their other guy, Mohamed Diabat, 71.9 against the run, no tackles, no missed, no stops. Probably more of a rotational guy. I don't have their numbers in front of me to see who's rotating, who's not. So those are your numbers. I mean, overall, it's a very good run defense, right? And I think that if you look at this other ranking, right here, this kind of gives you a little bit more idea of total defense, right? So the total defense, the Browns are number 1. If you go down to run defense, Browns are number 1. They're allowing 57.3 rush yards per game. 1 TD allowed on the season. Those are the numbers for me to pay attention to. Right? The red zone defense, third down defense. The Browns, they got to be towards the bottom somewhere. Yeah. They're only allowing teams to get into a third down a third down rate of 45.5% of the time. We could go a little bit further. But let's take a look at the offensive line. Detroit's run blocking. Well, we know who's the best run blocker in the game right now. Right, Eric? Who's that?
Penei Sewell.
1,000%. Just broke some records, man.
Just had a 99.3 run grade.
So obviously you have the best run blocker in the game, Penei Sewell. And our second best run blocker, this is not a surprise. Like Tate Ratledge had a really good game last week, 75.9. And so if you're thinking about running the football, I'm running it at those guys. You don't think that the Browns know that? The Browns know that. Where are they going to run the football? They're going to try to go towards Penei Sewell as much as they can for outside zone. Well, what about the inside? Let's go down and take a look at Graham. He is not doing well. Why is it not showing up? Hold on. Oh, it should show up. There we go. Graham Glasgow is at the bottom of the sheet, man. 45.5. And let's see. In zone, he's a 61.5 run grade. And then against the gap, 45.9. Not great. And so if you're thinking about running inside, well, if you're thinking about running inside the guards, that's Tate and Graham and Mahogany. Well, Mahogany, he's not actually doing terrible, but we haven't compared him against everybody in the league, right? So 63.5 run blocks, 56.7 in the zone. He's doing really well in the gap, which I know it's kind of tough to see. But in the gap, run blocking scheme. Try to slide this over. Christian Mahogany right now is operating at a 78.5. So that gives me a little bit more confidence that these guys should be able to get it done because the Lions definitely run a lot of gap. A lot of gap in the run game. So I don't know. What's your overall thoughts? I guess you can finish out your thing now, I guess.
Yeah, I think that the Detroit Lions offensive line is going to have a good day. And I really don't think that the Browns have seen a running game like this with two competent actual dogs at running back with an offensive line that is coming together into their own. Running behind Tate Ratledge and Penei Sewell is going to be a thing of beauty. And I have a feeling we're going to be pulling in an extra lineman or two tight ends on this game quite a bit to get that running game going. And I think the Detroit Lions are going to get the running game going, and it's going to open a lot on the back end. So don't be surprised, I think, if the Lions have over 100 yards combined rushing, and if someone like JMO or Tesla or Sam Laporta has a really big day, because something's going to be open somewhere, and it might just be on that back end. And if they're doing single high safety, Jared Goff is going to be licking his lips, hoping they're in man, single high safety. Here we go. Someone's going to be open.
All right. What is everyone saying in the chat here? So Todd Budry says you can basically throw out the first game. Yeah, we should. That first game was terrible for us.
Yeah.
If that's what you're talking about.
Well, look at Mahogany. He had 2 sacks in that first game. Hasn't let up one since.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Lions as a team have given up a sack in 2 games. They've kept Goff pretty darn clean. And he's done something that he didn't do so much in years previous. He throws the ball away or he dirts it. So I'm totally fine with that over taking a sack.
I'm trying to run through some of the chat here for a moment.
Because if you listen to a lot of Ravens fans this week, they're mad that Lamar was holding on to the ball so long. And that's how the Lions got those 7 sacks. Just throw the ball away, throw the ball away. I heard that quite a bit this week from Ravens fans. So it's nice to see that Goff is doing that this year.
Doing what? I'm sorry.
He's throwing the ball away when he needs to. Instead of taking a sack, a useless sack, like he did in the first game. I thought the first game I was like, sitting in the stands saying, throw it away, throw it away, throw it away. And then he takes that sack from Parsons. You know, That one was totally avoidable. All he had to do was dirt the ball, throw it somewhere, throw it out of bounds. He was fine. He could have easily thrown that ball out of bounds and avoided a sack from Parsons. And then how many sacks would Parsons have on the year? Half a sack.
I see there's some big conversation going on in here about JMO. Like
I don't know.
What's going on with JMO? So, somebody, I wish I had AI, like an AI bot that would say, this is what your chat is saying. Oh, wait, YouTube does have it. Well, why don't we have it for the live AI, the live chat to say, this is what your chat's talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, shit, half the time they're talking about hot dogs. I mean, like, what's going on in here?
Yeah. See a lot of Tigers talking there today.
Tigers.
Poor Tigers.
This is Lions, buddy. NFL.
Yeah.
Tigers.
Well, I know. Yeah.
Tigers, yeah, they fell off the planet. They fell off.
Do you believe? Well, here, Mason says JMO's production being down is not because he is double, tripled more. That is my point. I don't think JMO's having a down year at all.
No. So again, I don't know when you jumped in, Mason, but if you go back to the video that I played with Laporta, two of them, how they talk about this team is built on each other, and they don't care about stats, man. They care about winning. Nobody cares about stats but fantasy owners.
Yep.
And that's the thing. Like for a while there, I think you had all these prima donnas in the NFL that were saying, hey, I need the ball. I need the ball. And you know why? Well, they want better Madden ratings, or they want better fantasy ratings, and yada, yada, yada. Who cares, right? So for about 5 or 6 seasons there, I would say the tail end of the 2010s, so like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, that's all you saw. It seemed like guys getting upset on the line because they're not getting the ball and they're throwing temper tantrums. And largely it's because when you hear them talk on their own podcast or whatever, it's my Madden ratings down because I'm not getting the ball. My fantasy ratings down because I'm not getting the ball. Okay. Did you win? That's all that matters. Did you win? And see, it's hard to get out of that mindset of being an I. This show is not an I. This show's about everybody that chips in, right? It's everyone that takes part in it. So same thing here, man. For JMO, he is doing exactly what he needs to do. And that is being a team player, doing what Dan Campbell asked him to do, doing what John Morton asked him to do, which is do your job. Block downfield. You're not going to be on this team unless you block, right? No block, no rock. And if you get the ball 2 times a game and you score a TD, or you get the ball 10 times a game and you don't score a TD, it is what it is. Did we win the game? That's all that matters. And that's what you heard Sam Laporta say, but he's not the only one that has said that. Every single receiver has said that. There's going to be games that Amon-Ra St. Brown doesn't get a ton of looks. And Sam Laporta does. There's going to be games where JMO gets the highlight and JMO doesn't. Do you think that, St. Brown doesn't. Do you think he cares? He doesn't. There's going to be games like we just witnessed where all of a sudden Montgomery is the man and Gibbs isn't. What do you think they're doing afterwards? Bro hugging and celebrating, man. That's what they're doing. That's all they care about. So I don't know, like, proving your contract, how you prove your contract in this game is to win as a team and do the things that your team needs you to do. That's how you win, and that's how you prove your contract. When you're called upon, when the lights are the brightest and the moment is the biggest, that's how you earn your contract. When Aiden Hutchinson is having a slow season and he pops out a ball on Lamar Jackson, that's how you prove your contract. I'm not saying 53 million or 50 million or 47. He hasn't proved that yet. But that's how you prove your worth on this team, that you make the plays at the biggest moment. Everything else is for the people that just do this, right? All they do is yada, 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 yada. And like to cause drama and like to say Brad Holmes sucks. That's for them.
I got a little something for you, Will. So the number 1 fantasy football player through 4 weeks so far, even with last night's game, is a player who is 54-75. He's thrown for 722 yards. He leads the league with 9 touchdowns, 15 carries, 118 yards, and a touchdown. And he's put up 82.68 fantasy points, averaging 27.6 per game. And you want to know something? The number one fantasy player in all of fantasy is Lamar Jackson with a record of 1-2. So why does it matter if he's put up the most stats? If his team is getting its butt kicked, who cares how many stats Lamar Jackson has? If he can't win the game, he can't help you win the game, then those stats are all meaningless. It's like when we used to have Matt Stafford, right? And him and Megatron would just put up 1,000,000 points for me in fantasy football, but they'd lose the game every week. Defenses didn't care how many yards they got and how many catches they got, as long as they could stop them when they got down to the red zone. So fantasy, being the number one in fantasy, means nothing when it comes to winning games.
I think you're exactly right. Tell me if you can hear this, because I don't know why this is so low, but
Shep's the guy, I'm coming.
Could you hear that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
What did it say? Shep's the guy, I'm coming.
Yeah.
I was really trying to get that soundbite, and it's, I don't know, I only hear it in my left ear. Oh, wait, my right ear's not in.
Yeah.
Even when my right ear's in, I still don't hear it. All right, so you were talking about interior offensive line or offensive line versus the Browns and the defensive line for the Browns against our offensive line. So the pass rush win rates. Now, this is something that we'll start to go over every week. I'm just, like I said, I'm a little bit behind because yesterday was just a totally off day for me. Yesterday, I usually get a lot of this stuff out. Now that we actually have some stats to go off of. So to extend your segment here on Browns defensive line versus the Lions offensive line, let's just go through some of the pass rush win rates and offensive line win rates and things real quick. Take a look at the screen. All right, to start the week, this is our number one problem. Off the edge for Cleveland. It's not Myles Garrett, it's Isaiah McGuire. 12 wins on 34 plays. He's got a 35% pass rush win rate. I can never say that. It's like a tongue twister to me. If you move down a little bit, where is Garrett? Where is Garrett? Why is he not listed? But you know who else is not listed? Hold on a second here. Let me make sure I'm in the right year. Yeah, September 23rd, 2025. Sometimes it throws me back to last year. No Myles Garrett on this list right now, and I don't know why, but that's ESPN's Edge Pass Rush Win Rate rankings. Now, one Detroit Lion is listed right now. All right, defensive tackle. Cleveland, Mason Graham. He's a rookie, playing at a high level. 6 wins, 42 plays. He's got a 14% win rate. He's playing pretty well. And Malik Collins is in there at number 11. 5 wins, 38 plays, 13% win rate. No Detroit Lions on the list right now, currently. Here's my guy, Rook. Man, I wish the Lions would have grabbed Rook. All right, so then we're going to look at our offensive tackles in our pass block win rate rankings. Detroit Lions, Taylor Decker right now is the 4th best player in the league. He has 67 wins on 69 plays. His win rate is tied for 1st. It's pretty good, pretty solid, right? We just went up against Rosengarten, and he is 6th on the list. But you know what you don't see on here is you don't see any Cleveland Browns. But you do see Penei Sewell there at 15th in the league right now. He's 64 of 69, 93% pass block win rate. So his pass block win rate is up right now, but his overall pass blocking ranking is not, which I don't understand how those two things don't jive. If you look at the interior of our offensive line, right now we don't have anybody on the list. Nobody. And this is the top 18. Cleveland does, though. Ethan Pochik, 74-76, 97 win rate. That's the only guy that we really need to worry about on their interior, going up against DJ Reader and Tyleek Williams. Off the edge. This is where you see Myles Garrett. So, hold on. That was edge pass. This is edge run. Jared Verse, number 1 in the league. I'm not surprised. 17 plays, or 17 wins against 35 plays, 49% win rate. Myles Garrett is number 2, 16 of 37. I don't know why there's only 10 listed, but no Detroit Lions. I want to say that Muhammad was in there around 28% last week.
On the first week, yeah.
Yeah. So defensive tackle run stop win rates. Again, nobody listed for either team. So against the run, at least they don't have anybody in the top 10. But still, there's other guys that are playing at a high level. Offensive tackle run blocking win rates. This is where I would hope to see some Detroit Lions. We don't have anybody in the top 10. Neither does Cleveland. This is offense. Interior. Again, nobody for your Detroit Lions on the interior offensive line. Overall, as a team, your Detroit Lions, here, let me just move this up a little bit. Overall, as a team, your Detroit Lions are 22% pass rush win rate. We are 32nd in the league. And we just had 7 sacks. Someone explain that to me. Someone explain how you just had the one of the best weeks that should have way averaged out what happened the first 2 weeks. And you haven't budged. Run stop win rate. The Lions are 31st in the league at 25%. Our pass block win rate is 68%. We are 11th in the league. And how is it that we have one of the best running offenses in the league and we are the 26th ranked in run block win rates? So I don't get it. I don't understand it. But here's what I do understand. You have to watch the film. You have to. If all you thrive on is stats, which you guys know I'm a stat nerd. I love stats and analytics and metrics and KPIs and all the good stuff because it helps tell a story. It helps frame a story. I think it gives you a good start, a good conversational piece, if you will. But if you don't watch the film and then put your own little nuance into the story about this is what my eyes told me, it's kind of, you know what, it's kind of hard to do, Eric. It's like if I go in there and I will just say, okay, we are the worst on the defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
If nobody watched the game, and I would read those stats and I would say, you know what, we are last in the league in off the edge in the interior for run, for pass block, or I'm sorry, for pass rush. Would you believe that we just had 7 sacks in one game?
Yeah, without knowing the outcome of the game?
Right.
No.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe that.
Yeah.
So that's why you have to be able to watch film and you have to be able to I don't think I should have to convince anybody, but if my eyes tell me that this is what we did, this is what we did. For some reason, I don't know what someone else's eyes are telling them. Whoever's putting these stats together, I don't know what their eyes are telling them because you have 7 sacks in a game. I mean, I do know that there's a couple of things that go on here. One, it's how did the sack happen, right? When did the sack happen? Those things do matter. I think a true pass rush win rate should be beating your blocker in X amount of seconds to get to the quarterback. right? To create a hurry, a hit, something. But the way that their metrics are aligned or the way that their algorithm, I guess, is put together is obviously weighting it much differently. So it is what it is. Let's get into what John Morton said. Anything you want to add to that before I get him up?
Yeah. If you remember a conversation we had, I don't know, maybe last year even, that you can take the exact same numbers from a game and you can have one writer make it, oh, this was the worst game ever for the Lions. And then you can have the other writer write the exact same opposite thing with using the exact same numbers. So it just depends on the person's narrative, how they want to run it back and forth with the exact same numbers.
It's unfortunate that but again, that's two people's perceived view on a game and what happened. You know, I try to cut through the fat and try to deliver as much fact as I can. But let's be honest, I mean, it's also what my eyes are telling me too. My eyes are different, but I try to be real. And it bites me because, you know, when I'm too realistic and too open and honest about certain players, like there's three players you cannot talk about for the Detroit Lions. There's 3 players. Can you guess those 3?
The 3 players that what?
That you can't talk about for the Detroit Lions without catching some sort of holy hell heat.
Hutchinson.
Yep.
Gibbs.
Nope, not Gibbs.
Goff.
Yes. One more.
All right. J-Mo.
Yeah. There's those 3 players that if you have any sort of opinion, good or bad, it just brings out, I think, the worst in the fandom to just, you know, go crazy. But more so than that, I think that there is more positive views on those guys than there ever will be negative. But I'll be darned if you ever say something that is real. You know, like everyone knows I love Goff. I love what he does for this team. I think he's a very good football player, but very few times am I ever real negative, you know, but my negativity shouldn't be viewed as negativity. It should be viewed as critiquing, you know, from my purview, from my eyes, what I saw. That doesn't make me right or wrong or indifferent. It's just what I saw. But anyway, here's John Morton. This is about a 12-minute video. We'll probably cut it up, go back and forth, and talk about it in between. Oh, what happened? No. We'll get you fixed there, Mr. Morton. My bad. All right, good enough. Johnny Mo. Oh, I'm probably going to unmute him.
I've moved on from the last game. We got a tough opponent this week. You know, Swartz, he does a great job. Respected him over the years, and we got a tough task at hand. So, any questions?
What are some themes that his defenses always seem to feature?
Well, a lot of man-to-man, and then when you got a front like that, you can pretty much do anything you want. So that's where they get after it. So it's going to be about protection in this game plan.
Scotty was saying that a lot of people pay attention to their edges, but they can get pressure up the interior as well. What's uniquely challenging about handling pressure from the interior?
Well, I mean, if you get pressure up in the middle, and then now you're getting the quarterback off the spot. So that's important how we set up our protection rules-wise. We don't want that to happen. So when you get somebody in your face as a quarterback, now you're moving, now the timing's off, and it's man-to-man. So there's things we're going to do to help that out.
Just to build on that, and because he's a local guy, Mason Graham, what sort of impact has he had on their defense?
Yeah, I think he's a solid player. I mean, the whole front, I mean, everybody on defense, I mean, they're solid. They're really good. They get after it. They're relentless. And that's the biggest thing that you see. I mean, it's speed coming off the ball. They're great technicians. We got to be on top of our game. You know, first time practicing live this week. We're going to make sure from the scout team we're getting those certain looks.
I'm sure the film tells it all, but when they have a performance like that against a Packers team that you guys just saw 2 weeks ago, how much does that reemphasize that point to the players that's
Yeah, I mean, our guys, they're going to be ready. We're going to be ready for anything. I don't care who it is. I mean, the most important thing is us taking care of what we need to do, technique-wise, the details. When we do that, we play pretty good, as you saw last week. So we take care of ourselves and stop 95, or at least control him. Can't let him wreck this game. Cannot. So.
What's the roller coaster ride been like? These past 3 weeks. I mean, first week obviously didn't go as well. Then the last week, now you're getting all this praise and everything. What has been this experience been like?
Well, it's not about me. It's about the players. I mean, we got great players. All the stuff that we do, they're so smart. I mean, the quarterback is phenomenal. He got us in the right plays, the right checks. Guys don't blink. Even when we don't rep a lot of stuff. I mean, it's just fun watching these guys. But I've told you all along, it ain't about me. It's just me calling the play, and they go make it work. It's good when you got a veteran group like this. You know what I mean? So they make my job a lot easier.
Sean, when you have the season, but they've been almost historic stopping the run. You've really seen it all 3 weeks, Cincinnati, Green Bay, and Baltimore. There's pretty good backs in there, especially the last 2 weeks. So what makes them watching it on film so good? 57.3 yards a game, that's pretty darn good, John.
Well, I think I'm going back to us. The last few weeks. I mean, our front right now, we're moving guys. I don't think they've seen a run game like ours yet. And, we have patience. We stick with it. I think that's the biggest thing. Let's keep doing what we've been doing. We got to do that so we can stay manageable. We have to stay manageable on third down and 2 to 6. We got to be in that area. So first and second down is going to be crucial.
Stay on that theme. When you have tight ends and receivers that block the way they do with both effort and execution, what kind of confidence, flexibility does that give you in the run game and the play action game?
A lot. I mean, it's the best I've ever seen. My 28 years of coaching, the way these wide receivers block, the way Scotty gets these guys to play, I don't think there's too many teams. Now, the Rams, when, Cooper Kupp and those guys, they do the same thing, I mean, they get after, they take pride in it. It's just like, I always told the wideouts, man, when the tight ends and the O-line and backs, they're blocking for us, when the time comes our turn to block for them, we got to do the same thing. That's the beauty about this team. I mean, it's so team-oriented, and nobody cares about how many balls, this and that. It's just about winning. And when we do that, man, we're pretty good.
Specifically with Laporta, I mean, I think we think of him, obviously his pass catching ability stands out, but it does seem like he's shown a tremendous amount of growth as a blocker.
He hasn't?
He has.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, how much is Tyler played a role in that?
No question. I think it has. Tyler's background, he's an O-line type of guy. And just getting after it and watching these guys in training camp, the technique, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool because we run a lot of different schemes, especially for the tight end and even for the wideouts, how they got to block and see mic points and things like that. I think it's pretty impressive, the way Tyler gets these guys ready to play, but it started in training camp. I mean, you can see it.
John, you mentioned Jared, that 4th and 2 call. You've been around a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of coaches. What kind of faith does it take in a quarterback and the receiver to make that call on 4th and 2 in that situation?
Well, I mean, the head coach makes the call, but been doing this play for years, and we work on it all the time. So it was a no-brainer because of the way, knowing that the look that you're going to get.
Does it take in a quarterback and the receiver to? John, you mentioned Jared, that 4th and 2 call. You've been around a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of coaches. What What kind of faith does it take in a quarterback and the receiver to make that call on 4th and 2 in that situation?
Well, I mean, the head coach makes the call, but been doing this play for years, and we work on it all the time. So it was a no-brainer because of the way, knowing that the look that you're going to get, and having faith, in Saint and the quarterback to make the throw. It's just like I said, these guys are awesome, man. It's the way they prepare, the way we get them ready to play. They don't think twice, and that's what we're supposed to do. That's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing.
Decker and Sewell were the 2 highest graded tackles from week 3. How have you seen them grow and lead through these first 3 weeks?
I mean, looks pretty good. I mean, we're winning. The quarterback didn't really get hit. It's pretty special when you got 2 tackles like that. And the quarterback feeling good about that, And the other guys are coming along too. It just ain't them, it's everybody. But those 2 guys, when you don't have to do a lot of chips and there and that, or even in the run game, it's pretty special when you got 2 guys like that. It's just it's a comfort zone for everybody.
John, the pitch play to Gibbs for the touchdown, there's a clip floating around of Campbell as a player running that same play as like a backside blocker in 2002 with the Cowboys. Where did the inspiration for that play come from?
They've been doing that.
All right, pause there for just a second here. I want to run through the first 6.5 minutes here of what he just said, since we're getting close to being up against the clock. Number one, he talks about pressure up the middle, and that being one of the biggest things that obviously the Lions have to do a good job against this weekend. It's something that I emphasize and talk about a lot too, from the other perspective being the defense, and how I've always felt that the most important thing that a defense can do is to get pressure up the middle. And I know a lot of people disagree with that. I know a lot of fans have disagreed with me on that we really need to emphasize having studs on the interior before you even consider what's going on the outside. I've used this analogy before, man. You envision a chain link, right? A chain that all of your offensive linemen are just holding. If you can take out the center, right? If you're able to knife him, seal him off, whatever, get through him, and you break that chain. Now everyone's kind of holding on to a piece of a chain, right? You got this half and this half. You've now separated that defense. And what do you have? A clear shot at the quarterback. Now Jared has to move. And we know one thing to be true about Jared Goff. He's not the most mobile guy in the world. So if he has to bail out and run, towards the sideline and still looking downfield trying to get the playoff, well, look at what happened with Micah Parsons. He got chased down. He got sacked. That can't happen this weekend for a few different reasons. One, if you get him off his spot and he gets pressure from his right, and now he has to go to the left, who's going to be there? Myles Garrett, potentially. I think Myles Garrett's going to be up against Taylor Decker a lot this week. We'll see. So pressure up the middle is critical. You have to be able to shut that down. Thoughts on that and how important it is in 15, 20 seconds or less?
Yeah, that's something I'm sure the Detroit Lions have been working on for the entire season, because in that first game, the interior of our offensive line was a mess. They weren't communicating. The 2 basically rookies and Graham Glasgow just had horrible games in that first game. Well, they've pulled it together the last 2 games and haven't been giving up much of anything. Doing great in the run block and the pass block. Tate Ratledge has really upped his game from that first game. He was one of the highest rated PFF guards of the week. I think he was like number 6 in the NFL. So I think they're getting it together. And if we can get this offensive line to be 90% of what it was last year, I think we're fine for the whole rest of the season. And I really liked Johnny Morton's confidence in this press conference. It wasn't cockiness, it was confidence. And the fact that he sticks with the run game, he doesn't give up on it. I really like that. So in the last 2 games, when we started out kind of slow on the run game, and then you notice the second quarter, it gets a little better. The third quarter gets a lot better than the fourth quarter. It's amazing, right? That's when Demo gets this big, long 70-yard run. And you're just breaking them down. And then you finally break their chain and you end up getting big, giant holes. And I love that he said that our wide receivers and tight ends and such are the best blocking he's ever seen. I love it.
Yeah, so it's the best blocking he's seen, but the most important thing he's saying there, though, is when you talk about the pressure up the middle, there's a reason why he then, a couple questions later, says the biggest point of emphasis is number 95. You cannot allow 95 to wreck this game. 95 will wreck the game if you allow pressure up the middle. It's that simple. He also mentions the man-to-man, one of the best teams in the NFL right now, but also one of the defenses that's running the most man outside of the Lions is the Browns. And he says, when you have a solid front, it allows you to do those things. Same exact thing for the Lions. And another thing that I try to preach about the Lions is when you have a really good secondary, it allows your defensive front to do more. I know people have referred to this stuff as coverage sacks. You'll hear our coaches say, that's what we want. We want coverage sacks. That's needed. Calvin Shepard has said it multiple times. All right, so to your point, he says the front is just moving guys. Quote, he also says, quote, haven't seen a run game like ours yet, talking about the Browns, and that he has the patience to stick with it, that we have the patience to stick with it as a team. Does that tell you that we're probably going to run a lot this weekend? Maybe. Or are we going to use the run to set up the pass always? Like, that's just a no-brainer. Again, to your point, he said the confidence and the flexibility and the blocking, best that he has seen. And he's talking about the receivers in the run game, right? Blocking downfield, something we talked about a little bit ago. He says it means everything to this offense. 28 years of coaching. He's never seen it like this before. The teams that have won, he talks about Cooper Kupp and the Rams. They did it to a high level, win a Super Bowl. Talks about Laporta. I mean, he's one of the biggest risers on this team, especially in the run game. Working with, was it Haley that he talked about? It wasn't Hank Fraley. Who was it that he mentioned that it's one of the coaches?
Coach.
Yeah, what's his name? I can't remember right now. Todd Haley?
From Iowa State, I think. Something like that. No, it's not Haley.
Anyway, whoever the tight ends coach is a former offensive lineman, so he's clearly giving Sam Laporta the keys to be able to unlock his blocking game. All right, let's get into the 4th and 2 call. So the other day, you ran a little segment talking about Dan Campbell calling the plays and how Dan Orlovsky was kind of running with this conspiracy that Johnny Moe is just up in the box hanging out and Dan's running the plays from the field. It's not the case, but on this play, he just said Dan Campbell made the call. Well, did he make the call, meaning what play we're going to run, or did he make the call to go for it? Well, he definitely made the call to go for it. Absolutely. He says when you get the right look, they know what the right look is. They practice this play all the time, right? It should work. Dan Campbell making the call. I'm wondering if Dan Campbell also called for which play to run there. I'd be curious. We'll never know. Sewell and Decker, highest graded tackles last week. Morton says he has the confidence, right? Clearly, I think he has the confidence in Decker. Here was the key for me out of this. The Lions have used a limited amount of chips so far through 3 weeks. I think to our detriment against the Packers. I think that game plan was not great, obviously. Had we used some more chips in that game, extra blockers, probably a different result, at least offensively. Now, against this team, I'm expecting some more chips and some extra blockers. I'm expecting that. If they don't do it and they try to single up too many guys on this defensive line, it will not end well. And I'm telling you right, that is my call of the week. It will not end well if we don't do some chips and bring in some extra blockers. I hate to even make that call, but it's a fact. You're going up against one of the best defensive line on paper, the best edge rusher on and off paper, purely the best. And you got a good defensive secondary that can hold our receivers in check for probably 3 seconds. Have to use some chips. You have to. Anything you want to add to the first 6 minutes? And then it's 10:01. Do you got a bounce?
Yep, I got to get going. So I'm going to say this. I picked this game before the season even started as a 27-14 win for our Detroit Lions. I'm still picking the Lions to win, and I even placed a bet for the Lions to win by 13.5 points because I think our offense is better than any offense that they have faced. The Packers are showing their true offense now. Jordan Love is back to his true self, throwing really dumb interceptions in a critical point in the game. And the Ravens, they played the Browns. They got beat up by the Browns or by the Ravens. So I think it's going to be a game similar to that. Why the Packers didn't use that type of a game plan against the Browns, I'll never know. But that's the Packers for you. So I'm going to say this. I guarantee the Lions score more than 10 points on the Browns on Sunday, and I will see you guys all at the game. I'm predicting right now 27-14, the Lions win.
Lock it in, Eric. I'll talk to you. I'll see you at the game. Have a good day, buddy. See ya. All right, lock that one in. 27-14. We gotta write that down. Hold on. I promise I'll have the second camera up before next week. If only I can remember where I put all my markers. Here it is. Okay. Got a couple of key matchups here to talk about, and some of this stuff might be in the keys, but Jared Goff versus the Browns secondary. Obviously, Jared Goff has the ability to read and exploit the Browns' coverage schemes. He's been doing it all season. He's been doing it the last, 5 seasons now in Detroit. He's probably one of the best quarterbacks to be able to read, react, and pinpoint what he needs to do with the ball on any given down. Aiden Hutchinson versus the Browns offensive line. His impact on the Browns pass protection, we're going to see if Aiden is finally ready, right? This is not Aiden hate, it's Aiden reality. that he has largely disappeared in a lot of these games so far. And he shows up, right? He'll just show up at some point, and we need him to play all 4 quarters, right? To a high level. And whether it's scheme dependent, so just like how J-Mo or anybody else will kind of disappear from the game plan on the offensive side, sometimes that also happens on the defensive side, where, again, if you're in a contain style of a defense, you're not really going to show up a whole lot. But the minute they pin those ears back and they start to get after the quarterback, that's where he needs to show up. This week, I'm expecting Aiden to show up immediately. He has to. This is Joe Flacco we're talking about. He's not running the football. And if he does have to run, it's not going to be fast. So get after the guy, but then you're expecting, some quick passes as quickly as he can get the ball out, which means our linebackers are going to have to be right there covering, the outlet passes, whether it's to the running back or it's a trailing tight end, whatever it is, they have to be able to cover the quick passes, because if Aiden is who he is supposed to be, this is the game where he has to show up, right? Same thing for Al-Qadim Muhammad, right? He showed up in a big way in all 4 quarters last week. Let him do his job. Let him get after the quarterback when he needs to. Both of these guys need to show no containment skills really this week. It's get after Flacco time. Jahmyr Gibbs versus the Browns linebackers. This could be a game where I'm expecting Gibbs to get a little bit more opportunity in the pass game. And the reason why I say that is when we think about, 2 things. The chip game, I don't think is going to be Gibbs a whole. I think that's going to be Monty, and maybe we bring in another, running back or somebody else to provide chips. Quite honestly, like if you know that you're passing the football, and I know you don't want to give it away to the other team, but if we had Malcolm Rodriguez back, I would love to see him back there lined up, providing some protection for Jared Goff. It's not going to happen, but it was a good thought. So I think that'll be more of Montgomery's job in this game, is picking up a lot of those chips. I think he does have a little bit more power. I know he doesn't like to be called a power back, but I think he is a little bit stronger. He's a really good blocker. Not to say that Gibbs is, and he is too, but I just don't want to see Gibbs taking on Garrett, man. That's I don't want to see that happen. I don't want to see a shoulder get damaged or something, But Jahmyr Gibbs against the Browns linebackers, and even against the Browns defense as a whole, I think that his speed, his agility against this linebacker core could be on display, and giving Jared Goff an opportunity to get the ball out quick. I swear to goodness, if we see that little Statue of Liberty play or whatever the hell they call it, that hitch route, the quick hitter to the outside, which at least it was going to the right this time, I don't want to see that play. Like, that is not a play that is going to help us. That is a play that usually turns into a pick or a pick six or negative yardage. I want to see Gibbs getting involved in not so much a screen game, because it's going to be really tough to block against this defensive line and try to use a screen at the same time. Probably going to see Jared Goff in the gun on 85% of the plays, is my guess. Amon-Ra, St. Brown against these corners. Look, it doesn't matter what corner he's gone up against. He's pretty much had a game every game throughout his career. At least since 22. He's been playing really well. His route concept this week, I think it needs to be ill-defined. Like, he has to be able to get across the middle of this field. And it seems like the Lions have gone away from that at times, but getting him in some of those 12-yard crossers, get out 12 over, and get him into that 15 to 17-yard range, or 13 to 16-yard range where he can catch that deep crosser across the middle or the middle left of the field. That is a great pass for Jared Goff. He loves that pass. You can tell. David Montgomery versus the Browns defensive line. Again, Montgomery's power running against the Browns. I know he hates being called a power running back, but look, the dude squats, like 900 pounds or something crazy. There's a reason why we trust him in situations like this, because he's able to do it. He's able to do it at a high level. So just a few keys, and I'll expand upon those into the keys of the game this weekend. Johnny Mo, man, again, I'm at peace with this dude. I love the way that he does his interviews. He's so calm, cool, collected, doesn't fly off the handle at anybody, and just says what needs to be done. He doesn't mince words, man. He doesn't like to create a bunch of rah-rah. Whatever has to happen, it gets done. I'm going to move off of Johnny Mo for just a moment. And I promise next week we'll have phone lines open during the morning show. All right, let's get into one more thing. One more thing here. Shepard. If you guys missed this interview, this is a pretty solid interview here. We'll let this ad run and then we'll get it thrown up into the screen. Let's see how different Shepard is in this interview.
Afternoon, it's the morning. Good morning. All right, we'll start off recapping Baltimore, get that out of the way, because we have a short week trying to get ahead to Cleveland, as you all well know. But first and foremost, I'll share with you guys the same thing I told the room, the first thing we talked about yesterday when we met, to recap the game a little bit for a brief period, was a plan means nothing without execution. And you can say what you want, you can do what you want. This goes back to everything I've always believed in as a player, and then for sure now into coaching. If the players don't understand what you're preaching and what you want, it means nothing. So, there's a lot of narratives right now, this guru game plan and all that stuff. Yeah, it was a plan. It was a collective effort plan from the entire staff. It was a lot of hands in the cookie jar when it came to how we were going to defend last week. But that meant nothing without the players believing in it, number one, and then going out and executing. And executing at a high level, but in my opinion, in certain categories of the game. There was a lot of things there that I didn't like from the game that I also expressed and shared with them. I'm not pleased giving up 30 points. That's not okay. That's not the standard of who we are as a defense here. And I looked at three different drives, really. I continue to stand up here. Hopefully these guys hear this message. If nothing else that I say, I want to start the game with a 3-and-out. Hopefully we could eventually get that done. Now, credit to those guys for bouncing back after that early touchdown. It should have never happened. That's lead power. They run that play at high school level. That should never happen. Inexcusable. It was the longest run of the day. We were dominant outside of that run. Then you go before the half. Can't happen. Going into the half, first series of the game, then coming out of half. That's everything I believe, and those guys know that. We allowed a touchdown going into half. And then the end of game, just totally inexcusable. 3rd and 27. We're in zone coverage. We make that tackle. It's 4th and 15 maybe. The kid gets 10, 12 yards, and they probably punt in that scenario. So that's 3 touchdowns that obviously you can't just wipe off the board. But 2 of those are inexcusable, should have never happened. The one before the half, credit to them. They did a good job going in the half, but we must be better, and we will be better. And then the elephant in the room, Justin finally got to me, guys, if anybody was wondering. It took him 4 years. But he finally convinced me. So, yeah, I knew that was coming, but Justin gave me a call last week and said, you got to do this, man. So we did it. So that's out the way. All right, let's move forward to Cleveland.
I know you love my statistics when I throw them out there, but 34 pressures, 7 sacks, Shep, 7 quarterback hits. Just to have that kind of production, how excited were you about the guys executing that plan? And you talked about a little bit the way they did in terms of the pass rush specific.
Yeah, these guys hear you all. That's what I'll say. This isn't the old school days of, block out the noise. That sounds good. These guys hear you all. They're on their phones all day. There's constant. And they hear you loud and clear that we only have one pass rusher here. They hear you loud and clear when you say we only got close to Jordan Love 2 times. And these guys take pride in their profession. It's why it's a joy to coach these guys. It's a joy to be able to do what I do every day because these guys take pride in what they do. The level of detail they've shown just week to week in wanting to know the whys. Why are we doing this? Why are we setting this up this way? And then being able as a coach to give them the complete vision. So then they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then you buy in that belief, and these guys are all in. You see the effort these guys play with. I told you from day one. Look at number 96. Take away ability, take away everything. Let's talk about effort. Now, that's a collective unit now, all playing like that. So now if you don't play like that, you're the anomaly and you're the odd man out. So if we can continue to build on the things that we've done, I think we can continue to play up to the standard of our defense, which, let me remind you all, we still have yet to play up to. We still have yet to play up to. I told the unit, the last thing I addressed moving forward to Cleveland was, can we please come in on Monday and say we made them earn everything? Because I want to see what that looks like. I want to see what it looks like when we make the other opponent have to earn their keep, because we've yet to do that. So these guys understand that, and I believe we'll have that moving forward.
Was that a QB spy joke there at the end of that intro? Was that what I was hearing?
No, I'm serious. You finally got to me.
I am curious about that. Like, how have you evolved your thinking in that play? Because you kind of expressed your hatred of it there in 2022. So I'm curious, like, how you've changed, because it worked obviously really well in that game.
When it comes to schematics, if you guys haven't figured out, I rarely give that information out. So I wouldn't believe much that I ever say about schematic things in public. And I'm serious about that. I've had that folder built for 3 years. And a lot of the examples is Matt Milano 3 years ago at Kansas City and the things he did to Patrick Mahomes. So it was a fine line of trying to incorporate some of that, but within what we do here. Like, that's why it was so hard on them. It's not because of a spy, guys. It's because we're making everything look the same. And when you do that, it's impossible to know who's coming, who's the spy, who's in coverage. So we were able, collective effort, credit to Casey Rogers. He did some of this stuff down in Tampa, and it married really well with our game plan. And when I say that, I mean rush and coverage. So when you're sending pressure from the same looks that you're dropping out of, and now you incorporate a spy within all this, it's very hard on the offense. It's something kind of trying to get the pen back. It's something that the offense has been doing to defenses the last 2-3 years. Motions, getting you in certain formations, dictating the coverages. So that's all we try to do. And again, it's nothing without the players, man. These guys are making it really hard on the opposing quarterbacks right now.
How crucial was Jack in getting everyone on the same page and then doing it with blood spitting out?
Jack's unbelievable. I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know that happened. Like, Fish came to me, he's like, we're stitching up Jack. I'm like, what? What happened? He's like, you didn't see him? And then Tyleek and all the guys started telling me about the huddle interactions and how Tyleek was like, man, are you all right? And they said Jack's just trying to cover so he don't spit blood on anybody. Man, it's amazing. That dude, when I tell you, he is all ball, and he embodies everything that this program is built on. And the man hours. Everybody knows Jack history. I don't got to sit up here and give you a soliloquy about Jack Campbell. But he's unbelievable, and I'm very fortunate to be able to have that player running this defense.
How would you like to play with him?
How would I have liked to play with Jack? He probably would have took my job, so I wouldn't have been playing with him. I would have been watching him. But he's a great teammate, but I wouldn't have liked him as a teammate because he would have been above me on the depth chart.
Kevin, what does Derek Barnes mean to your defense, and how have you assessed his first 3 games back now?
Yeah, you asked Brad what he means to my defense. I said that was a player I had to have. I did, and everybody said, well, the stats are just average. I told him that's a player I have to have. I have to have. Like, that is literally my little brother, on and off the field. I know he looks up to me, and that means a lot to me. But outside of that, I believe this kid can play 4 or 5 spots on the football field and do it at a high level. He can play all 3 stack backer spots. He can play defensive end. So when you're able to have a player like that, you see him out in the apex in 11 personnel, which is really a nickel spot. So when you have a player like that, it allows you that ability to present the same looks pre-snap and then post-snap be able to play a different variety of coverages, different variety, and that means a lot to me. But outside of that, yeah, you asked Brad what he means to my defense. I said that was a player I wouldn't have liked him as a teammate because he would have been above me. Because he would have been above me on the depth chart.
Quick rewind. What does Derek Barnes mean to your defense, and how have you assessed his first 3 games back now?
Yeah, you asked Brad what he means to my defense. I said that was a player I had to have. I did.
Tell me, what does Derek Barnes mean to your defense, and how have you assessed his first 3 games back now?
Yeah, you asked Brad what he means to my defense. I said that was a player I had to have. I did. And everybody said, well, the stats are just average. I told him that's a player I have to have. I have to have. Like, that is literally my little brother. On and off the field. I know he looks up to me, and that means a lot to me. But outside of that, I believe this kid can play 4 or 5 spots on the football field and do it at a high level. He can play all 3 stack backer spots. He can play defensive end. So when you're able to have a player like that, you see him out in the apex in 11 personnel, which is really a nickel spot. So when you have a player like that, it allows you that ability to present the same looks pre-snap and then post-snap be able to play a different variety of coverages, different variety of pressure packages and things like that. Nowalski's kind of the same. These guys, when you're able to deploy 4 and 5 linebacker sets and formations and play any of your defenses, that's a different ball game. I mean, you see a lot of people get in these faster groupings, but it's pretty much XYZ. We're getting into these groupings and still playing first, second down football, or we could play the 3rd and long game with you with all the same groupings. And, like, it would be shameful to stand up here and say that's scheme. That's players, because they're the ones that have to understand conceptually, when I'm at this spot, I do this, that spot, I do this. That takes man hours, it takes detail, and it takes a level of dedication that these guys are all in on.
When did you see Derek master those 4 or 5 spots? Like, when did he reach that level of command in your defense? Was it last season?
He was there last year. It was a shame what happened in Arizona. It was a shame. Those swap turbo blocks is a very dangerous thing in our game that's still there, and that's all good, and we understand that. But that was a shame, because I believe that kid was about to have an unbelievable season last year, which it's all good. He's back, and he's trending in the direction that we want him to right now.
Dan indicated Amit could see a bigger role this week. You know,
turbo blocks is a very dangerous thing in our game.
In your defense, was it last season?
He was there last year.
When did you see Derek master those 4 or 5 spots? Like, when did he reach that level of command in your defense? Was it last season?
He was there last year. It was a shame what happened in Arizona. It was a shame. Those swap turbo blocks is a very dangerous thing in our game that's still there, and that's all good, and we understand that. But that was a shame, because I believe that kid was about to have an unbelievable season last year, which it's all good. He's back, and he's trending in the direction that we want him to.
All right, so had to rewind a couple of times there because I kept missing something as I was writing my notes. I see in the chat someone had I don't know who said it, asking about the stack backer term. It's not really new. It's just it's how you identify. It's how you identify where these players are lined up on the field. Hold on here. I got to get this video off. A lot of good stuff from Shep, man. Let me start with this. I'll get into the stack back here. I'll just go through it right now. So stack backer or apex, you know, when he's talking about this type of stuff, I guess, how do I want to roll with it? Apex, when he says, I'll start there. So when he talks about the apex, and that's really a nickel position. So the linebacker would be lined up outside the box, I would say. Outside the box, inside the corner, which typically is where your nickel is lined up. And you're going to be handling some pass coverage there. For a linebacker to do that, also some run fits, dropping in. You've got to read. You've got like a two-way read here. What am I doing in the pass? What am I doing against the run? If the run's coming your way, you got to take the run. If there's no run, and then you've got to pick somebody up, whether it's a slot or a tight end or whomever's out there, right? Common role is the nickel out there, just like he said. Without going too deep into it, that's really, I guess, the best way for me to explain it. As far as stack backer goes, like, so there's multiple different alignments for the linebacking position. So if the Mike linebacker lines up behind the nose or shaded, one of the DTs, well, that's one role in the 4-3. If the Will linebacker stacks behind the 3 tech in the weak side defensive end, that's the other one. And then the Sam linebacker, when they walk up or stack, depending on whatever the formation is for the offense, that's really all the 3 different stacks, I guess you would say. I'm not as well versed in that. I mean, I guess it really means that your linebacker is stacked behind a defensive lineman, not so much shaded, not split out wide. I guess it's kind of the opposite of an overhang or a walked up linebacker, like the nickel or an edge rusher. Does that make sense? A stack backer, usually your Mike linebacker or the Will side linebacker in a 4-3. It's the Mike linebacker in a 3-4. The other way to put this is in the gap fit, which the Lions run. I still think we're running gap and a half. You're going to read the guard and the tackle and then fill that ABC gap, whichever it is. In zone, you're going to drop into coverage. You're going to drop into the hook, the curl zones, or you're going to match based on pattern. And then blitz timing. Obviously, you're going to be used in blitz too. Delayed blitzes more often. And then the spiral, which we've seen this week. I love the fact that they say that, that Justin Rogers finally got to him. Well, Calvin, where you been, man? Like, dude, I've been talking about the spy for 3 seasons right here in this seat for 3 years that I finally started getting my face on air. I've been talking about the spy that long. And I know they said it took them 4 years, but that's great, man. I'm glad that this happened. I think that's awesome. And I'm glad that they gave Justin some credit, man. That's badass. Love everything that Justin does. So Calvin is he just not infectious to listen to? Like his attitude is so infectious. The way that he talks about this team, it makes you feel a certain way, right? I love how he said scoring 30 points ain't gonna happen, man. Like this can't happen. Not allowed. It's not allowed. Period. Point blank. No scoring at the end of the half. Last possession for the opponent. Can't happen. Can't do it. I love those. Here's the other thing. And I've said this a lot. And now I had no validity of my opinion, meaning we don't know what the Lions players are listening to and not listening to. Calvin just told you. They're listening. They're hearing us. And when they're on their phones all the time listening to stuff, we only have one pass rusher. They hearing that, right? I could only imagine what they think about that individual. But if they're listening over here, they're hearing how I've always believed we've had enough. I've always believed that they've made the right decisions. It's more of a financial thing than it is a personnel thing, but at the same time, I've always believed in Davenport. Didn't know as much about El-Quadin Muhammad because we just haven't seen enough of him. One game's not enough. The flash is not enough. has to follow it up in his second week now, get in a primary role, which obviously they believe that he can do it. And I totally trust in the fact that they've made the right decisions, especially now when you've seen Kelvin totally change his mindset. Like he just said, he's had that folder developed. And that he made a reference to the Chiefs game that was 3 years ago, Milano's defense against Patrick Mahomes, I think is what he said. So he's had the folder developed for the spy technique, which, I mean, all these guys have these folders developed, you know, for every situation, every type of defense. They have it. But they have film, they have cut-ups, they have everything ready to rock and roll if they need to get into that defense, which we might see more. But man, have I not been talking about the spy and sticking into a little bit more nickel. But what I love about the defense is how they are able to disguise. They're camouflaged. Everything looks like it's coming out of a 4-3 look. And then you're dropping into the nickel. You're bringing a bigger safety in or whatever, dropping them, you know, up closer to the line, you know, up into the box and lining up in a linebacker role. Whatever they're doing, man, they try to disguise. And I think that is so hard to decipher in the moment. It takes a really smart quarterback, offensive lineman, your center, to know exactly what that defense is trying to do. Jack, I've said it enough, man. I've got to highlight Jack. I got to do a video on Jack. I have to. Derek Barnes. So he was talking about that Arizona game last year where we lost 2 players, right? We lost Davenport and we lost Derek Barnes. He was talking about the swap and turbo blocks. Now, that is a term I'm not familiar with. So I'm going to have to do some research today on what he means by that. I thought it was just a cutback block is what it looked like to me. And he says it's a dangerous part of the game and it's still in the game. Maybe it's something that the Lions are going to push to have taken out of the game. I don't think that they introduced any sort of a rule change this last year for that, but maybe it's something that they'll promote to the competition committee at some point. All good stuff, man. All good stuff from Shep. Obviously, you guys can find all of these videos on DetroitLions.com under media, and you can watch all of the individual videos from the press conference. It's how I like to watch them instead of watching all at once, that I can get in and make some notes on these guys and listen to what they're saying. So all great stuff from these guys today, man. Great stuff. They're totally different personality-wise, and I think that that's what makes this team so great is not only are the players bought into what he's doing, and I think that's probably the most important thing that Shep really said today is, or not today, but in this video is that everybody's playing with effort, and the standard of effort is like Al-Qadim Muhammad. When everybody is playing the same way with the same amount of effort on every play, you're accepted into the defense, right? You're accepted into a bigger role. And I don't think he's throwing shade at anybody saying that they're not. But if you're going to play on this defense, you're expected to go just as hard as the guy next to you and the guy next to them and the guy behind you and the guy behind them. You're all expected to go 1,000% each and every play. No plays off. And if you don't, you're probably going to lose snaps. It's that simple. It's that simple. So we've got a team. We have a team that wants to do things the right way. So with that, it's already 10:30. I wanted to go a little bit longer today since I didn't get to do anything last night. I did make my picks for last night since which I was struggling, man. I ended up taking some muscle relaxers last night to help my back a little bit, and I was out. So I ended up getting my picks, I think, into the first quarter, I think is when I got them done. But real quick, I'll share what the picks are this week. Usually I have you guys help me do it because it's supposed to be your picks. But I had to get them done because of the Thursday night game. By the way, if you guys drink protein drinks, I'm on to these things called Nuri at Costco. It is a ultra filtered milk. This reminds me of strawberry childhood milk, man. It's packed with protein, only 1 gram of sugar, lactose free. It's good stuff. And they're on sale right now for $16 for 12 of them, which is a great deal, especially if you used to drink muscle milk, which I can't stand muscle milk's grittiness. This stuff is smooth. Like, it legit, the vanilla ones taste like a McDonald's vanilla milkshake. Where's my bets? There we go. All right, so we picked the Seahawks, the Steelers, the Lions, the Chargers, the Bills, the Eagles, the Falcons, the Texans, the Patriots, the Colts, the Jags, the Ravens, the Raiders, the Packers, the Jets, and the Broncos. I just realized something. Yeah, in this week's, it's so low. It's only a 50-cent bet to pay $863 on a 16-game parlay. But man, did we barely win on the Seahawks last night. The bet was put in at 9:45 p.m., so that might have been halftime, I guess. Probably when I woke up after a short nap. I was hurting bad last night, man. I was doing some prepping with some food and then reached down to grab a pan, and then I was done. Couldn't get back up, back locked up. Put the belt on, which I have on right now, which just stimulates my back to get it moving. It's the first time it's happened in like 5 years. It's so painful. Yeah, I try not to take anything cruising. I really try not to take anything. Like, I don't even like Tylenol or anything like that. Especially the NSAIDs. So bad for your liver. Yeah, the lineman did Davenport wrong. Yeah, they absolutely did, man. Absolutely did. What is the turbo block that he was talking about? So I'm going to have to do research here. I can pull it up on my... I've got this... I have this sheet. All right, here's the quick definition. Swap block. A swap block is a zone blocking technique used by offensive linemen when defenders cross the face post-snap. It's a reaction-based exchange between two linemen, usually the guard and the tackle, to handle defensive line movement like slants or twists. And how it works is usually pre-snap, the guard and the tackle expect to combo block a down lineman to a linebacker. So you get on a DT, both of you are pushing, you get up to the linebacker, one of you breaks off and engages. Post-snap, the defensive lineman slants across the face of one of the blockers, and the linemen swap responsibilities. The one who loses his man passes him off and picks up the new defender. It's common in wide zone, split zone, and inside zone schemes. The turbo block, the play side lineman, usually the tackle or the guard, ignores the first level defender if he's already reached or flowing away. He turbo climbs to the linebacker or safety, prioritizing the second level leverage. The backside lineman takes over the first level defender with a reach or a cutoff block. So there it is. It must be that cutoff. Now, here's why it would matter. I wonder if our offense is going to use any of this against Garrett. It almost makes sense. So I want to know what he's talking about with the dangerous side of it. So I have to see how it's used in in this thing that I pay for scouting. It'll definitely have all these types of plays already brought up, so that I can look at the plays. So I'll do that later, and maybe if I get time, I'll do, I don't know, something for it. We'll see. It'll be on the bottom of the list, but we'll see. All right. 4 more minutes. Any questions? Anything else we need to go over real quick before I get into the rest of the day? I got a long day. As far as Tigers talk go, the last I read, I think that they still have an opportunity to win the wild card, right? And that's it. Cleveland owns a series by 8-4. So Detroit would have to finish with a better record. Can that even happen? So if the Tigers win 3 games, they can clinch the wild card. If Detroit wins 4 and Cleveland drops 1, they could steal the division. Is that really still in play? I have not paid attention this last week. I know that it's been all over the news because the Tigers completely collapsed. So it's 86-73. Both teams are tied at the top of the Central. But Cleveland has a tiebreaker. So no matter what, the Tigers have to have a 1 game better record. And it looks like Houston is in the race for a wild card spot. Right? Is that what I'm seeing? Houston? Is that who we're competing with? We've got the 1 game lead over Houston right now. You got the Blue Jays, the Yankees, the Red Sox. They should all be in. The Guardians and the Tigers. Well, I'm sorry. Take the Guardians, the Tigers out. The Seattle Mariners, they should be in. That's 4. And then it's either Cleveland or Detroit for 5. And then it's either Detroit or Houston if Detroit doesn't take the Central for the 6th spot. I think that's what I'm getting here. We have the tiebreaker with Houston, so if we have a tie there, then Houston, maybe that's what I'll do next year. I'll start a Tigers channel next year. But for playoffs this year, when the Tigers get in, because all they have to do is get in, and then they can wake the hell up, man. They totally blew it this year. I was thinking of a parity between last year for the Lions and this year's Tigers. The Tigers had a 15-game lead, right? Something like that, 15-game lead, and they've totally blown it. The Lions win 15 games and suffered too many injuries and blew it. Kind of weird. If you want to stretch your conspiracy theories that far. Totally unlike the Tigers, but you know what? This is a team that hasn't done a whole lot in a long time, and they're just kind of now getting back to relevancy. They've got a few plays to make with personnel, but I'm not even going to act like I know all the ins and outs because I haven't been following them a ton. But next year I'll start a Tigers channel. Sweep this weekend and they are in. Well, I tell you what, I don't even know who's up for pitching, but if we don't have any closers, you can forget about it. Like the closing is the most important position on any baseball team. Your closing pitchers, you know, your starters can't go all game long, every game. They just can't. You need closers, and you need multiple closers. I'd rather have 2 or 3 guys come in to finish a game at times, depending on what, team you're going up against, or at least 2 guys. One guy gets an inning and a half, and then the next guy gets an inning or an inning and a half. Or inning and a third, whatever. But all right, I'm out of here. We'll see you guys. I'm going to do keys to the game will be recorded this week, and pregame will probably be recorded this week for Sunday morning. I'll be in Detroit. So you guys have a good rest of your weekend. I'm sure we'll touch base again at some point, maybe tonight. But anyway, appreciate all you guys. Do us a favor, subscribe if you haven't already, and send us a like. Most important thing when you get out of the live chat, send us some comments about the biggest things that we talked about today, your comments about it. Even if you just put one pride, Detroit Lions, in a hashtag, whatever, it works. It helps. We would appreciate the comments. They're huge. They really help the channel. Even if you say, you know what, I disagree with everything you say, I don't care what it is. Just put it in there. We'll see you guys next week, Monday, for sure, on the Rise of Grind Morning Show. You guys take care. Game time, Detroit, and you found the right place for the latest Detroit Lions news. So hop on in and take the ride to Super Bowl 60 with Rocked On Detroit Lions. Join Will Rock, Eric Rintamaki, and Riley O'Brien today on the Rise and Grind Morning Show. Good morning.